The state has rested her case in chief, and Lori Vallow says that she rests as well, although she might be testifying next Monday. We'll see. So if you guys are not caught up with this week's trial, I'm going to do another recap similar to what I did in week 1, where we recap and highlight some of the crazy moments in the trial for you guys, in case you don't have a million hours a day to watch the trial. So we're going to be recapping week 2, and yes, I'm wearing my painter shirt, okay? I haven't changed it because it's like 5 p.m. and I gotta go to bed early tonight and pack for tomorrow because I'm waking up at like 4 a.m. Anyway, so we're going to be recapping the Lori Vallow trial, week 2, and hello, it is unhinged and cringe. You might be hearing something about fiery loins. Our first witness for the week is going to be the medical examiner, and again, the medical examiner is going to echo what all the other witnesses were testifying about before, which is Charles Vallow was shot, and it seems like at some point he was shot while he was on the ground. So is that really self-defense if someone shot while they're on the ground?
Now, you told us that you don't go out to the scene, right?
I do not know.
So you would not have seen if there were any defects on the floor consistent with a bullet strike underneath Mr. Vallow?
I did not.
If you were advised that there was a defect on the floor that was consistent with a bullet strike underneath Charles Vallow's left shoulder, would that further support the theory that he was laying on the floor there, causing that sword wound when he was shot?
It would, yes.
Based upon your autopsy of Leland Charles Anthony Vallow, what did you determine was the cause of death?
Multiple gunshot wounds.
Now, Lori Vallow is going to do the cross-examination, of course, and it's going to be a very interesting one because she is going to bring up the bamboo clothing again. Remember, the bamboo clothing, $200, and my husband wear. You didn't do any research about that. And then Lori Vallow is going to get into the sword wound, and she's going to get into whether or not Charles was really shot and did he really fall to the ground on his knees and then laid on the ground when he was eventually shot a second time.
As far as the abrasions on Charles' knees, could those have been, you said that they were consistent with having been close to the time of death, is that correct?
Okay, so Charles Vallow, they believe the theory that the reason why he has like abrasions on his knees, like scrapes and cuts and stuff like that, is because he could have possibly fell on the floor, knees on the floor after the first shot.
They had that general appearance, yes.
And so those abrasions could have been caused by a scuffle before he was shot, is that correct?
Yes,
And not necessarily falling forward onto his knees.
correct.
And then the abrasions on his hands as well,
What about them?
that they could have been caused from a scuffle beforehand?
Yes.
Okay. I know that the state asked you if it was consistent with him, with this second shot, the shot to the abdomen, that it was possible that he could have been shot on the floor. Is that correct?
Correct.
But would it also be possible that he could have been falling when that shot happened as well, and then hit the floor?
So her other theory is, well, the second shot, Charles wasn't shot when he was on the floor. It could have been he was shot while he was on his way to fall on the floor. Oh, sorry, I don't know if my mic caught that. He could have been shot while he was on his way of falling through the floor. And it's the bamboo shirt that caused this type of short wound.
Not really. If he was falling and still passing through air, not yet having hit the ground, that would not have caused a short wound.
So if he had hit the ground and bounced on the ground from the first shot, as the second shot was traveling, that could not be possible that he hit the ground when that shot was exiting the shoulder?
He would have had to have been on a firm surface to create that short wound.
And it could not be caused by tight clothing?
Tight clothing and short wounds is typically like a supportive garment, like a belt or a bra. In my experience, I've never seen it with like a t-shirt or anything like that.
Right. And the other expert said that usually they'll look into that if the shirt is like really tight and compressed. But the reason why he didn't look into the shirt stuff is because the shirt seemed to be loose fitting onto Charles.
Are you familiar with bamboo clothing?
I am not, no.
Or how tough that material would be?
I am not.
Okay.
Now, I think Trina's going to do a really good job at bringing it back in and redirect when she talks about the bamboo shirt. Technically, if the bamboo shirt has so much effect on this exit wound, well, wouldn't it be the same for both exit wounds and not just one over the other?
Clothing like a t-shirt, bamboo, or whatever they're made of, would have caused a short wound. Would you have expected to see the short wound also to the other exit?
Certainly if both exits were covered with that shirt, yes.
If the person is wearing a t-shirt that covered his back and shoulder,
Yes.
then if that type of fabric somehow was restrictive enough or tight enough or stiff enough to cause that pressure, then it would have caused a shored wound to both exits.
I would expect that, yes.
Next, we're going to be hearing from witness number 14. Special Agent Mark Sari was working with the Social Security Office, and he specifically investigates crime and fraud.
In 2019, how much was Tylee Ryan receiving?
Approximately $18.59 per month.
Tylee was receiving money because Lori Vallow's third husband at the time passed away. Remember, Charles Vallow is the fourth husband, and then Chad Daybell's the fifth husband. So Tylee was getting money from the Social Security Office as a benefit for her father passing away. Lori's also going to be getting money, and JJ as well, because Charles ends up getting murdered.
Now, if Lori Vallow was married in June of 2018 to someone else, not Tylee's father, would she still receive that mother of survivor benefits?
She would not.
Okay. During your investigation, did you become aware of Lori Vallow going to an appointment with someone from Social Security Administration related to JJ?
Yes.
When was that?
On or about August 12th, 2019.
During that meeting on August 12th of 2019, was Lori Vallow questioned about whether or not she and Charles Vallow were living together at the time of his death?
She was.
And what did Lori Vallow tell Social Security on August 12th of 2019 about whether or not she and Charles Vallow were still living together at the time of his death?
She confirmed they were living together at the time of his death.
Is that important in trying to determine survivor benefits?
It definitely helps the agencies determine if benefits are entitled to the recipient, correct?
Lori and Charles were not living together because Lori was living in Arizona. Charles was living in Houston, Texas during this time. So she lied to get the money.
How much money was Ms. Vallow set to receive as a result of the death of Charles Vallow?
It would be $19.51 per month.
Is that the same as what JJ was getting?
Yes, it'd be mirroring the same amount that JJ was receiving. Yes, correct.
Okay, so Lori does this cross-examination of the special agent, and to me, it seems like she's trying to blame the Social Security Office, maybe making a mistake and giving her the benefits that she didn't apply for. However, when I'm rewatching this, I think what I'm realizing is that Lori Vallow doesn't know the difference. Lori Vallow doesn't know the difference between spousal benefit versus the difference with mother in care benefit, which is what she was getting. Spousal benefit, which we later looked up on stream, was a benefit that you get if, say, you have a spouse that passes away, you're married to them, and upon you turning 65 or 67, depending on what year you're born, you get spousal benefit. However, you can get a reduction of your spousal benefit if you decide to take it out early as I think like 60 years old or something like that. I don't know, we read it on stream. However, if you have a disability as a spouse, then you can start getting your spouse's benefits from Social Security at as early as 50 years old. However, what Lori was getting was not spousal benefit. Lori was getting mother in care benefit because she was married to Charles at the time that he passed away. She was taking care of a child that they had together, that they adopted together, JJ. And so JJ got the benefits from the Social Security Office, and then Lori got the benefit for being the mother in care of JJ. So it's possible in her head when she was applying, she thought it was spousal benefit and she just didn't know the difference. And even up to the trial, she didn't know the difference between spousal benefit and mother in care benefit, which is why when she's cross-examining the witness on the stand, the witness says something about like, oh, I think it's to be a certain age to get that. Anyways, you guys watch this. Let me know what you guys think. But I think Lori was just confused and didn't know the difference. Like she didn't do her research.
Does Social Security, as a surviving spouse, can you get benefits if you didn't have any children?
I believe so, correct? Yes.
Okay, so if you've been married for longer than 10 years, you get spousal surviving benefits. Is that correct?
There are some rules for that. I believe that is correct, I believe, yes.
And so if I had been married to my husband for 10 years and his previous wife had been married to my husband for over 10 years, she would also get that surviving spouse benefit?
What's your question again? Who's the she part? I'm trying to follow that part.
Okay, just a previous person who has been married to my husband previous to me for more than 10 years. I mean, that's what Social Security does, right?
I'm not sure. What is your question? I'm trying to.
So I guess she's asking if Charles' ex-wife, who was maybe married to him more than 10 years before he married Lori, would she also get Social Security benefits? Is that where we're going? Where are we going with this?
Okay, sorry. So if there were two spouses to a deceased husband,
Okay.
consecutively, and they were both each married for over 10 years to that same husband, they would both receive a spousal benefit or could apply for and receive that spousal benefit. Is that correct?
That's one administrative issue. I have to obviously I'm not aware of all those policies for that kind of issue. So I can't really answer yes or no to that question.
Okay. So if it was explained to me when I was at the Social Security office that I could
Object?
receive that.
Hold on. I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay. But it is possible. You're just not aware of it. Is that correct?
I would have to ask an expert in our agency for administrative rules on that.
Okay. And what is your expertise at Social Security?
I'm a special agent.
You investigate fraud. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But you're not really privy to what an agent might be telling a person as they come in to get Social Security. Is that correct?
What they tell an agent, an employee, or what is your question again?
Yes. So you're not really privy to what the employees are telling the regular people that come in to the Social Security office.
I'm not there for those appointments, correct?
So you don't really understand what all benefits can be given?
We with OIG investigate crimes of fraud, waste, and abuse. So we are the experts for that. And we also have experts internally in Social Security we look to for guidance on internal rules that are more complex, if that kind of helps you out.
But wouldn't the mother in care benefits be for the child?
It would be if that individual had the child in their care, correct?
Right. So, but a spousal benefit, if you've been married for over 10 years and you didn't have any children, you would still be entitled to that. Isn't that correct?
My understanding is that you have to be a certain age to get that benefit, to be a certain age to apply for that. In the situation here, due to the decedent Charles dying, there was a benefit for the child only that was receiving, as well as child and care. So only two benefits were received for the child, also child and care as well.
See, he said that you have to be maybe a certain age to get the spousal benefit. I don't think Lori knows the difference between the spousal benefit and then the mother in care benefit. And then we kind of waste court's time just going back and forth about this. Your surviving spouse may be able to get the full benefits at a full retirement age. The full retirement age for survivors is at age 66 for people born between 45 and 56. And the full retirement age will be gradually increased to 67 for people born in 62 or later. This is different than the full retirement age for retirement benefits, which is 67 for people born in 1960 or later. Your surviving spouse can get a reduced benefits as early as age 60. If your surviving spouse has a disability, benefits can begin as early as age 50. Your surviving spouse may be able to get benefits at any age, though, if they take care of your child who is younger than age 16 or has a disability. Your child must be receiving Social Security benefits. Unmarried children, younger than age 18, may also be able to get benefits. Your children can get benefits at any age if they have a disability before the age of 22. Yeah, so if you're taking care of children, then you can get those benefits at any age. If you're not, then you would have to wait until the retirement age. But you can get a reduced amount if you're age 60, and then if you're age 50, you can get it if you have a disability. All right, we're learning.
So my question is, how is that determined by the employee? Like if it's spousal benefit or if it's a mother in care benefit?
It'd be up to the applicant to apply for the benefits.
So if you applied for the spousal benefit and they gave you the mother in care benefit instead, how would you know the difference? You just know that that was the monthly amount you were getting?
You would receive a letter in the mail. You also would be at the appointment very clearly told what you were applying for. It should not be any confusion about what you're applying for at that appointment.
Yeah, so he's basically saying you applied for it. She's saying it could have been a mistake on your guys' behalf, not me.
Okay. So if you were told that you were getting the spousal benefit,
Yeah, it's sustained.
if an employee told a recipient that they were getting a spousal benefit,
I'll allow him to answer that hypothetical if he knows.
if an employee were to tell someone they were getting a spousal benefit and they received a letter in the mail saying it was a mother in care benefit, should they call the Social Security office and clear that up?
It would be up to the applicant if they received a letter in the mail to contact Social Security and say, hey, this is the wrong benefit I'm receiving. So it would be up to the applicant to let Social Security know that benefit is not correct.
Did she get that letter in the mail and then she didn't correct them? Or is she trying to say they're like, well, I got the letter in the mail, but I was too busy, marrying him with Chad at the time in Hawaii.
So if the employee put it in as something other than they told the recipient, then it would just be up to the recipient to correct that. Is that correct?
Social Security goes off of information that's provided to the agency by the applicant. That makes sense. It's up to the applicant to be truthful and provide the right information to the agency.
So do you have a copy of my application for either of these benefits?
You'd have to ask the prosecutor for that information.
Okay. Have you ever seen one to your knowledge that you remember?
Yes.
You've seen my applications?
Yes, I have.
And were they for mother in care?
It was for survivors for JJ as well as for mother, child, and care as well.
So the application that I filled out was not for spousal benefit. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
I'm sorry.
he can answer if he knows, if he recalls the answer.
Damn. He was like, no, yeah, I did see your application, and this is exactly what you applied for, ma'am.
Repeat the question, please.
I'm saying, so of the records that you saw, I did not have a spousal survivor benefit application.
The records I saw were an application for survivors benefits for JJ as well as for child and care as well. Were two different benefits that you were receiving.
Okay, so is there an application for spousal benefit?
I'm only aware of the two benefits you were receiving, which was for JJ and for mother, child, and care.
So it could have been a mix-up of the employee. Is that what you're saying?
They would have been relying on information you had provided at that application appointment, August 12th, 2019.
And this is a filled out form application? Is that what you're saying? It's not just something you verbally give to the employee?
I believe you could do it online ahead of time, but you were present, I believe, on August 12th at the office to go through line by line, I believe, with that application.
Oof.
So if I thought I was getting, if a person so in your investigation of this fraud, you have seen all of my applications, is that correct?
I reviewed any and all documents that we have in relation to JJ as well as to you receiving benefits on his behalf, correct?
And you do not recall seeing any spousal surviving benefit application, is that correct?
All that I recall seeing was, once again, the two applications, one for mother, child, and care, and one for JJ as well.
And isn't that a redundant benefit?
Which benefit?
The mother and child
me.
care and the child in care. Isn't that that's basically the same thing?
JJ had a benefit for himself solely, and a second one to be mother, child, and care. Does that
To
make
take care of the child.
Correct. The child has to be under your care, custody, and control during that time period, correct?
So when you're receiving these Social Security benefits, they want them to be for the things that you stated previously, right?
I gave a few examples, but it is for the benefit of the child, correct? The money can be saved or spent on the child.
So if a recipient was told that all the money has to be spent every month on the care for the child and could not be saved for college because it is Social Security.
Speculation to testifying, to ask and answer.
The objection sustained for, it's straying into you testifying, ma'am.
So it is not your understanding that that benefit has to be spent every month. Is that correct?
Sustained.
So you are not aware of that?
Sustained.
Can I have a moment to confer?
Go ahead.
Help me out here. I don't want to do this lawyering shit no more. Y'all go up there and do the questioning for me. I'm struggling here.
And who is your superior?
But he probably interviewed the people that interacted with Lori. He would have to if he's investigating. All right, now we're going with who is your manager?
Who is your superior?
Is your question who my boss is, or?
Yeah.
I have a special agent in charge who's my immediate boss. Yeah.
Relevance? Sustained?
Who assigned my case to you? That's my question.
Relevance?
It's not really relevant, but you can answer, sir.
Are you asking for the name, or what are you looking for as far as your question?
The name would be fine.
At the time, it was special agent in charge, Joe Rogers. He's now retired.
Thank you. No more questions.
All right, redirect.
I wonder what her zombie name is. Lasagna Lori. I don't know, I just made that shit up.
August 12th of 2019, when Ms. Vallow went to Social Security and had a meeting, what is the point of that meeting?
The point of that is for an applicant to come into Social Security, apply for benefits, and then have Social Security determine if they're eligible or not for those benefits.
You have up with you a paper that was provided to you earlier to review. After that meeting, was a letter sent to Mrs. Vallow relating to the answer she gave and the benefits she was requesting?
Yes.
Is that what you were looking at when you were looking at some of the information that she had provided?
Yes.
In your investigation, you did not see any surviving spousal benefits.
I did not.
All you saw in looking through reams of documents was that Mrs. Vallow was receiving those two benefits that we've discussed.
Correct.
Would those benefits for Lori Vallow have terminated when she became Lori Daybell?
Yes. Upon a remarriage, that mother child and care benefit would immediately cease.
But the benefits for JJ would have continued.
Correct.
All right. So we have some jury questions for this witness.
Were payments to Lori Vallow stopped after your investigation?
They were, yes.
And during your investigation, do you know if Lori Vallow notified Social Security of her new marriage?
She did not.
Do you have any?
Ooh, do you think that kind of gives a hint as to what happened to JJ to the jury? Because if the payments to Lori Vallow stopped after the investigation, but Lori Vallow should have technically still gotten the payments for JJ, and she wasn't getting the payments anymore. It's kind of like what happened to JJ. Like, yeah, she remarried. Even though she remarried, she wasn't supposed to get the benefit that was for her for being the mother in care. So they're probably wondering, so I wonder why wasn't Lori getting the payments after the investigation for JJ?
You said that I did not notify Social Security of my marriage
Correct.
that you know of.
To my knowledge, you have not? No.
Okay. So you don't know if in Hawaii I was at the Social Security office and notified them?
Sustain. It's,
Testimony.
again,
But you're,
testifying.
so would you have all of the information from every office in that regard?
From our review of the records, there is no notification at all of you ever notifying Social Security of that marriage.
Of the records that you had access to, is that correct?
From our review of the Social Security databases, which would encompass notifications, we have seen 0 notifications.
And
Sorry, the Hawaii branch of the Social Security office, they don't communicate to other branches, okay? That's what Lori's trying to say.
what would you have to do to put in a notification?
An employee would have to go on the record and make a change or make a report of contact, that sort of thing.
So now we're outside of the jury's presence, and the judge gives a warning to Lori saying, hey, you don't want to open the door to shit that's happening in Idaho and some other stuff that you definitely don't want to be in this case or trial.
However, it will become apparent that we were not arrested that day, so I don't foresee it being a problem. I'm not trying to
I think that the timing.
go into detail on that.
The timing of what was happening, how the investigation unfolded as far as timing, who was charged, who wasn't charged, would not be relevant. And I think that's what the state's motion is toward, because I think one of the first witnesses in the case, there was a question about why you or your brother weren't arrested that day, which again isn't relevant because if you go down that path, you could foreseeably open a door into, there's a lot of reasons why the investigation probably took quite a while that the jury doesn't really need to know about, nor is it relevant for them to determine what did or didn't happen on that particular day that you've been charged with. But I'm just kind of giving you a heads up that I don't think it's relevant. If you think it's relevant and we get to cross of this witness today and you think you have a question regarding the timing or who was or wasn't arrested, ask if we can take a break, all right?
Okay, sure.
Because that might potentially open some doors that she doesn't want to open. That's what I'm thinking. Listen, the judge just wants to make sure that no mistrial is going to be happening, or any issues and appeal stuff. I think that's what he's basically doing. Our next witness that we're going to hear from is going to be someone who works with Banner Life Insurance Company. Again, Charles Vallow had a $1 million life insurance policy. Initially, Lori Vallow was the beneficiary. However, when things were getting shaky in his relationship with Lori, and I think she disappears for like 58 days, Charles decides to change the beneficiary to his sister, Kay Woodcock. Lori doesn't know this. She didn't know this. After Charles was murdered, she finally realizes the beneficiary wasn't her because she was calling to collect. So here's the phone call.
Who am I speaking with? This is Lori Vallow. And your relationship to the insured?
He's my husband.
The date of Mr. Vallow's passing?
July 11th.
And what was the cause of his passing?
Well, he was shot.
Okay.
So I don't know how I want to put that.
Okay. All right. And I hate to ask, but is it?
Yeah,
you can just say yes or no.
Is that her laughing? I'm gonna slow down a little bit. I think she was trying to laugh there a little bit. I don't know if I want to put that in. Oh, God.
Okay.
So I don't know how I want to put that.
Okay. All right. And I hate to ask, but is it?
Yeah,
you can just say yes or no. Was it a homicide?
No, it was an accident.
An accident. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what state did he pass away in?
Arizona.
Okay. Okay, just bear with me for one moment. I just need to pull up a few other things.
Okay.
Is she pretending to cry? Do I hear a sniffle?
Are you aware of who the primary beneficiary of the policy is?
It's me.
Message.
Wait, can you hear? Does it sound like there's children playing in the background? Does it sound like there's JJ in the background?
So after Lori Vallow calls saying she's the primary beneficiary of that life insurance policy for her husband, Charles Vallow, did Banner Life Insurance actually determine that she was not the primary beneficiary? That's correct. So was an email sent to Lori Vallow on July 18th of 2019 to advise her that she was not the beneficiary? Yes. And did she call back to speak with you about the issue? Yes.
Okay, so I really can't give too much information, but I can tell you that the beneficiary was changed in March of this year.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what he was doing since we have 5 kids and we've been married for 15 years.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I know he owes a lot of people money, and I was worried if I got money, they'd be coming after me for money.
Right, no, I understand that.
But now I will be with none. So, but did he change it to one person, or was it several people?
Unfortunately, I can't release that. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I know you can't tell. We're in the business. My husband is the agent. He's the agent.
Okay.
So
Got it. Okay.
Y'all get that? Y'all get that? Oh, man, we have like 5 kids together. We're married for like 15 years, and he owes a lot of people money. They're going to come after me now for the money. Throw him under the bus.
we deal with this business all the time, so I
Okay.
kind of know how it works, but I'm
Sure.
completely surprised.
Right. I'm
We have a
sure.
7-year-old with autism that we adopted together, so I
Oh,
am surprised that he would do that without telling me.
well, I'm so sorry.
So, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, even though it's community
No.
property. I mean, it's his
No,
policy.
this is a
Do you think Lori, because remember with Sarah Boone, I was saying that Sarah Boone would, she had these 2 dogs that she adopted. One was deaf, one was blind. And then she, I guess, took in George. I feel like Sarah Boone would make her seem like she was like the savior. Like, oh my God, I'm the savior of these 2 dogs. Or I'm the savior of George. I wonder if Lori tried to do that with JJ. Like, yeah, my 7-year-old has autism. And I wonder if she was the type of person that would just tell everyone that JJ has autism. That way they look at her as like, oh my God, look at you. You're such a great mom, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I wonder if she would also use it in her manipulation tactics as well. Because she's bringing it up right now when she's on the phone with the insurance company. I mean, they're not going to move. It's like, oh, the form has been changed. Sorry, nothing I can do. Nothing I can do. I hate people like that.
contract that we have with the insured, exactly. So he's able to make any changes, during the lifetime of the policy.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, thank you. I just needed that information. Okay, no, not a problem. All right, you take care.
She doesn't have to pretend to be sad anymore. She's not the Benny. Now she's just giggling.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We did hear from witness number 16, Jeff Moberg. Jeff Moberg testifies that he took the actual gun. Again, this is a gun that was owned by the brother, Alex Cox, the one that was used to murder Charles Vallow, and they made sure that the gun functioned as designed. Additionally, he also talks about how the casings came from this gun, just to show the jury that this was the gun that was used as a gun that's owned by the brother, Alex Cox. Our next witness is going to be Detective Cassandra Inkland. And oh my gosh, she's one of my favorites because she did such a good job in cross-examination with Lori. But first, in direct examination, again, she's going to talk about, I keep getting the brothers' names mixed up. She's going to talk about Alex Cox's demeanor at the crime scene, about his lack of injury, but she didn't really have much contact with him. Also, the nonchalant thing is going to come up again, and Lori's going to get so triggered about the nonchalant thing. We have a little nickname for her, Nonchalant Enchilada. Oh boy.
And can you describe for us the demeanor of Alex Cox when you went by him?
He was sitting on the curb, didn't really appear, just kind of normal, wasn't really agitated or upset.
Was he nonchalant?
He had what looked like, I think it was a paper towel or Kleenex in his hand. And at one point he reached back and kind of touched the back of his head, but he was just seated, just kind of sitting there.
Did you observe yourself any injuries at that time to his head?
I did not. I didn't have contact with him at the scene at all.
Can you describe Lori Vallow's demeanor when you saw her across the street there?
Just seemed very kind of ordinary and kind of nonchalant.
Ooh, nonchalant.
Were any police cars visible at the crime scene?
Yes,
And so there's yellow crime scene tape up.
correct.
How did that notification go down? Were you able to tell her what happened?
So opened the van. I made contact with her. I think at some point I asked her something to the effect that if she would step out of the van to talk to me. And at that point she said that she already knew because she was there, which was kind of a surprise. I wasn't necessarily expecting that. And at that point I confirmed with her that he had died and he was deceased, and quickly kind of conferred with my sergeant away that at this point her and Tylee are now witnesses to the event and they need to be interviewed, obviously.
Was she crying or emotional at all while you're driving?
No.
While you were before you left in the car, did she ever try to ask you any questions about how her brother was doing, or what's going on with her husband or anything like that?
Not of me, no. It's probably a 20-minute drive from the house to where the station is, about.
And was she chatting away the whole time?
For the majority of it.
When you get to the police station, do you separate Lori and her daughter Tylee?
I did.
Oh, we have a juror observation from Pretty Lies and Alibi. On the call with Banner Life, Lori says Charles' cause of death was an accident. One juror raised his eyebrow. And then we are going to watch a string of interviews, and now the audio is not the greatest, so please bear with me here, but at least they made it loud enough for everyone to hear in the courtroom.
Well, so we moved into this house 3 weeks ago because he offered to get me a house here where all my family is, over in Houston. And so he's like, we had decided to separate or whatever, so he's like, well, I'll pay for a house for you and for JJ and whatever, because he's all about JJ. He's never about Tylee, but he's all about JJ. Because we adopted him together. He's his great nephew. We adopted him as a baby. So he was like a drug baby and had all these problems. And so we adopted him as a baby, and so we've been raising him together.
I feel like that's like unnecessary information that you don't need to give to the law enforcement, right? He's a drug baby, and oh my God, he has problems. And like, I don't know. We're just like, are we in therapy right now? Like, what's going on here?
And he travels all the time for business, so he's used to just going back and forth. So he's always gone like Monday through Friday. So he came when we first moved in and brought me stuff from Houston, like a U-Haul, and then he hasn't been back. But it's all these threats on my phone all the time, like whatever, all these things. And then he told me... What kind of threats? Just... You'd have to read them to see, but he's always mad at me, right? Okay. And he doesn't want a divorce, but I don't like him and don't want to deal with him, so that's just how it is. Like, and I didn't file anything or whatever, and then he filed something against me and said I'm only going to get supervised visits because I'm crazy and blah, 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 the story. And so I just didn't talk to him for like 30 days and let him take care of him and let him see what I've been doing.
So I know it got cut off sort of in the end there, she told you that after he filed this paperwork saying she was only going to get supervised visits, that she just didn't talk to him for 30 days.
Correct.
Kind of his macho attitude. And so he came this morning. I was getting JJ ready.
So he got in last night, but he wasn't at the house last night?
Yeah, I didn't hear from him, except for he texted me and said, I'll be there at 7:30 to pick up JJ.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, so.
Do you remember about what time he got there?
He said he'd be there 7:30, but it was more like 7:40-ish
Okay.
or 7:35, I don't know.
Okay.
But I remember thinking, looking at the clock, and he wasn't there at 7:30, and he's usually Mr.
Yeah.
On
Punctual.
time. Yes.
So at this point, you understand that Lori Vallow knew Charles.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention this. After the 15-minute break, apparently there's a little bit of jury drama. A little bit. Let's see. 15-minute break. 15-minute break. 15-minute break. Oops, did I lost my spot? Oh, here it is. Judge asked one juror to stay behind. Judge asked juror if he discussed Social Security after the witness this morning. Juror says he was having an issue with Social Security and spoke with another juror about it. There was a jury question that says, what happens if you falsely collect Social Security or something? Do you have to pay it back? And I was like, is that a personal question from the jury? Or what does that have to do with this case? I don't know. Juror says he was having an issue with Social Security and spoke with another juror about it. Judge asked if he can set aside his feelings and not have it affect his case. Juror says he can do that. Judge reminds him not to talk about witness testimony or about the case until it's time to deliberate. Trina has one follow-up question. Lori does not have any. Judge tells a juror to not talk with any of the jurors. Juror 16 is now brought in. Judge asked the juror during the testimony of the Social Security investigator. He started to talk about another juror about something to do with Social Security. The juror says yes. The other juror told him he had a Social Security issue. This juror commented on the amount being high in relation to Lori. That was the extent of the conversation. Judge reminds juror he cannot talk about the case with other jurors until after closing arguments. The juror can remain. We are now in recess. I wonder if there was another jury who was like, excuse me, I saw these two talking and they're not supposed to be doing that. Tell him. Do it.
He's just been difficult. So
Yeah.
anyway, so I got JJ stuff ready. And he was like, well, and he's like this about timing. He's like, I'm leaving in 20 minutes because it's 15 minutes to the school and you can't get there early. They don't open the gates until 8:20 or something like that. And I said, well, why don't you just go now? I don't want him in the house. I'm like, why don't you just go now and take him to Burger King because that's what he likes for breakfast. And he's very particular about food. He wanted chicken fries for breakfast and the Sprite. And I just can't believe that because if you don't get what he wants, it's on the floor.
I'm sorry, the audio is so bad. Let me see if I can readjust this audio.
And he's big and he's heavy and it's hard for me to handle. But anyway.
Okay, let me go back just a tiny bit.
I'm in the house. I'm like, why don't you just go now and take him to Burger King because that's what he likes for breakfast. And he's very particular about food. He wanted chicken fries for breakfast and the Sprite. And I just can't believe that because if you don't get what he wants, it's on the floor screaming, dragging him in, just going. And he's big and he's heavy and it's hard for me to handle. But anyway, so I said, just go. And so he said, okay. So I gave him the backpack. He got in the car. This is his MO, right? He always leaves something in the house and comes back. He never leaves the first time. I always expect my husband to come back into the house, right? So I guess he had left his phone on the counter.
So he initially left with the backpack and with JJ?
And so he put them in the car, in the driveway, and then he came back in, right? So I kissed JJ goodbye. He came back in, and his phone was on the counter, and I had his phone. And he was giving me my phone, and I was like, why don't you show me your text that you've been texting, blah, 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 whatever.
What phone? What
because
text?
He's acting really weird, he's plotting something against me. I'm like, why are you even here? What did you come here for? He's been talking to my other brother, and my brother came into town at the same time last night. And I haven't talked to my brother in a while, my other brother, and I was like, and so he was texting him on the phone when he first got to my house, and I'm like, why are you texting Adam? Do you even talk to him? My other brother.
When the state asked the witness if Lori said Charles worked out of town a lot to avoid taking care of JJ, all the jurors turned and looked at Lori. Oh, cool sketches. Oh, that's so awesome. Lieutenant Ray Hermosillo told me about 10 minutes after Lori came in this morning. She looked at Colby, saw Detective Hermosillo sitting beside him, and she did a double take. She has glanced back at him a couple of times now.
And working.
Okay.
No, it's rejected.
So this morning he comes back in and...
He comes back in, I wouldn't give him his phone. He was screaming at me to give him his phone. He was very worried about whatever was on his text that he did not want me to see. And so I was just holding it there, and he was screaming at me. And I was kind of walking around the house with it so he couldn't get it. He's reaching for it and stuff like that. Yeah, she was outside,
And then what happened?
then they got up from that, and my brother had like stepped back, I guess, and then Charles was coming with me at the back, yelling at me to give him his phone still, because I had it in my hand. It was all really quickly, and then when I went around kind of in the circle, then my brother was there.
When you said when you were going around and
She's like, how can I tell the story and make it make sense?
he was coming at you with the bat,
Lori, you piece of shit, tell us what really happened.
how was he holding the bat?
Just like that,
Like this?
backwards. In one arm.
Like he was swinging it backwards?
Wait, why would he? What? Who was holding it backwards? Oh, then wouldn't that just show that he was left-handed then, if he was holding it backwards? Because what she's showing right now is him holding it with his left hand. Because you're swinging with your right hand, you'll be going like this, and then you'll follow through this way. Oh, Lori. Is that her admitting that he actually was trying to swing with his left hand, if he was swinging?
Would have done
Like he would have swung it backwards at me, not frontwards.
okay.
I gotta get to the kids. And so I just went outside and to see if they were in there okay. I didn't want them coming back in the house when all that was going on, and got Gigi in the car, and he was trying to come in, and Tyler was like looking at me.
Wait, she said got JJ in the car? That JJ was already in the car banging to get out.
House when all that was going on, and got Gigi in the car, and he was trying to come in, and Tyler was like looking at me.
Oh, wait a second. Was JJ even in the car at that point? Because in Lori Vallow's opening statement, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Lori Vallow's opening statement, she kept saying that Charles left JJ in the car like he was a bad parent, leaving JJ in a car that was running in Arizona. And she was saying that JJ was like banging to get out and he couldn't get out of the car. However, just now, it made it seem like JJ was not in the car because she put JJ in the car because he was trying to come into the house. Trying to bang in to get in the house to see what was going on and see if his father's okay. I don't know. That sounds completely different. I wonder if that's actually the true version. And it wasn't JJ being locked in the car and then he couldn't get out of the car. It was JJ heard the commotion, who was trying to come in the house, couldn't come in, and then she went and took JJ and put him in the car afterwards, after Charles was shot. What the fuck?
Outside and to see if they were in there okay. I didn't want them coming back in the house when all that was going on, and got Gigi in the car, and he was trying to come in, and Tyler was like looking at me.
Yeah, I think it's different than what Lori said in the opening statement. Everyone remember to slam that like for Corky. Oh, thank you. Yeah, if you guys are enjoying this, you're hanging out, feel free to like the button. Like the button.
I gotta get to the kids, and so I just went outside and to see if they were in there okay. I didn't want them coming back in the house when all that was going on, and got Gigi in the car, and he was trying to come in, and Tyler was like looking at me with like the crazy eyes, like what just happened, and I told her to get in the car and we're gonna take Gigi to school, and I just left.
When you came back in and you saw him on the ground, where was your brother? Did you see him where he was at?
Yeah, he was right in front of him.
Okay.
Like,
Okay, yeah.
he was a professional baseball player.
Okay.
So it wasn't a good idea for Tyler to get out of that.
Probably not the.
I mean, he played semi-pro.
Yeah.
And he was,
Like, look at her, like, so giggly, so chipper.
He was a professional baseball player.
Okay.
So it wasn't a good idea for Tyler to get out of that.
Probably not the.
I mean, he played semi-pro.
Yeah.
And he was, But, yeah, and then I was kind of turned around, and we were all right there in that room, except for the kids had been outside by that time, and I heard the gunshot. And
So you heard the shot? Did you actually see the shot, or did you just hear it?
I had gone around to the kitchen to get away from him and so back around. So I don't know if he went in the house.
I didn't, so I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, so I didn't see the shot. I heard it, and then I came back around and I saw that he was on the ground.
Okay.
Charles gets there, and then Lori's like, hey, Tylee, can you take JJ to the car? Tylee takes JJ to the car. She's on her way to, and then Charles is at the house, and then Lori's like, hey, Charles, I need to talk to you really quick. And then bam, Alex comes in and nowhere and just like fucking shoots him. Which would make sense why Tylee and maybe JJ was probably like, what the fuck is going on? And JJ's like banging on the door trying to get in the house. And then when Lori comes out, Tylee looks at Lori with the crazy eyes, was like, what the fuck just happened? And Lori's like, oh, just get in the car. We gotta take JJ to school. All right, so the crappy audio from the interviews are over. However, they are going to continue talking about how Lori Vallow never called 911, Lori Vallow's demeanor, and how exactly did law enforcement get Charles Vallow's phone at some point. Who had the phone?
Did Lori Vallow ever call 911?
She did not.
Did you later learn that she also had Charles Vallow's cell phone?
I did.
So she has at least 2 cell phones with her, but she did not call 911.
That's correct. She was unaffected, not emotional. The best description I can give is that she chattered the whole way, basically back to the house. Not upset, almost
Crazy.
not happy, but just really unaffected by everything that was going on. It was kind of striking.
Is there any acknowledgement about what had happened?
No.
Basically just talking like it was any other day?
That's a good description, yes.
Did you ever hear her talk about or say anything like, oh, I need to let Charles Vallow's sons know that he's dead?
No, not specifically. She had referenced at one point, like, calling people, but not that she needed to, like, do additional, like, death notification.
So you're at the house, you see Lori and Tylee. Did you go ask her about it?
I did.
So can you tell us about that?
I walked up to where the vehicle had pulled up. Tylee was actually still inside the car, and I asked them if they knew where Charles's phone was. And at that point, they volunteered that they had the phone. I believe Tylee pulled it out of the cup holder to hand to me, and I asked them if they knew what the passcode to the phone was, and both of them were able to give me the passcode, and I took custody of the phone from them.
Now we got the cross-examination with Lori, and honestly, I think this detective does a really good job at just making Lori possibly feel dumb.
And you talked about my demeanor, right? Being ordinary. Is that what you said?
Being ordinary?
You said ordinary, non-emotional, nonchalant.
Correct.
What's your definition of nonchalant?
Oh, we're going to go down this whole nonchalant thing again? Oh, my Lord. Nonchalance. I mean, the jury can see it for themselves. They literally can see you in the fucking interview room. You're chipper. Nonchalant as in you don't give a fuck about what's happening, you know? You're just chill.
Of nonchalant.
Pretty almost detached, just calm, doesn't really matter, kind of not extraordinary.
Do you have a degree in psychology?
I do not.
Do you know what a person should act like if they're in a stressful situation?
So there isn't one way to act. There's just behavior that is striking.
Striking behavior.
Correct.
Okay. It would have been non-emotional if I was trying to be calm for my daughter.
Can I object to speculation?
Sustain.
Were you being calm?
I believe so.
Was Officer Krautine being calm?
No, we already, this didn't work. This didn't work. The state prosecutor had such a good follow-up question. Well, y'all were calm. Yeah, we were calm. Did you just shot someone? Nope. Would you compare yourself to the suspect? Nope. Completely different. Oh, man. We going with this? Come on, Lori.
Sustain.
Were you being calm?
I believe so.
Was Officer Krautine being calm?
I think so.
Were the firefighters being calm?
I didn't see the firefighters or have any interaction with them.
Were the other detectives being calm?
I believe so.
The EMS guys were being calm?
Again, I didn't see them and have any interaction with them.
But it was a pretty calm environment that day, was it not?
I don't know if I'd agree with that, but
Well, no one was running around hysterical, right?
correct.
Okay. Right, so Officer, sorry, say his name one more time.
Krautheim.
Krautheim. Okay, I'm going to write that in phonetically. I'm sorry. So he was wearing a body cam. I'm sorry. Krautheim. Okay, I'm going to write that in phonetically. I'm sorry. So he was wearing a body cam, is that correct, that day? Officer Krautheim. And so you had stated that you had asked me to get out of the van? Is that correct?
I was trying to get you to come. My intention was to get you to come out of the van. And then you made a statement that you were there. You already knew.
What did you say that made me say that I was already there?
I was asking you to step out of the van. And you said, I was there. I already know.
I already know what?
That Charles had died. I was trying not to tell you in front of your daughter.
That would have been nice, but that wasn't the point. How did I know you were coming to give me a death notification?
Can I object to speculation?
Sustained.
Did you notify me that I'm going to give you a death notification? I don't want to do it in front of your daughter? What did you say?
It would be slightly redundant.
Why would she say that if she didn't want to say it in front of your daughter?
In front of your daughter? What did you say?
It would be slightly redundant to tell you I was doing a death notification if I didn't want to tell you in front of your daughter.
Why would I say to you, I already know?
Sustained. That's the form of the question calls for her to speculate about your state of mind.
So did you speak to me giving me a death notification, or was it Lockwood, sorry. Who spoke to us?
We were both involved in that.
Is she like, I wonder if she's just on purpose, if she is just mispronouncing these names. That way, when someone corrects her, she can do like a little giggly bit. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me write that out. Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I get your name right. I really care about getting your name right, even though I murdered my fucking kids.
How long did you interview Tylee for?
I believe we talked for about similar amount of time, 30, 40 minutes.
At the time, that day on July 11th, did you believe Tylee?
I'm going to object.
Sustained.
With your experience in forensically interviewing children, did you think Tylee's demeanor was genuine that day?
I'm going to object
Same
to
question.
speculation.
Sustained.
Did you have a reason to think that she might be making something up?
I'm going to object again to speculation.
Sustained.
Same thing.
Did you learn during Tylee's interview?
I'm going to object right there to hearsay.
Sustained.
Did you learn during my interview that Tylee came in with a bat?
I did.
And was that confirmed by Tylee?
I'm going to object, Your Honor, pretrial ruling,
yeah.
hearsay.
Sustained.
Your Honor, can we have a sidebar?
No, that's hearsay. It's sustained.
Put her in her place.
And you stated that I chatted the whole way back. Is that correct?
You did.
It wasn't Tylee and Alex chatting the whole way. It was me specifically.
You mostly.
Wow. There she goes again, trying to lay the blame on Tylee or Alex. It wasn't me. I didn't shoot. I was in the kitchen. It wasn't me. I didn't bring the baseball bat. It was Tylee. Charles was the aggressor. I wasn't the one who was talking. It was them two. Gosh, she's just trying to blame everything on other people that are fucking dead. They're not even here anymore.
It wasn't me just looking out the window and them talking to you.
I'm going to object to asked and answered.
You can answer. Overruled. You can answer.
Can you ask it again?
It wasn't Alex and Tylee speaking to you and me just looking out the window the whole way home?
No. She picked it up out of the cup holder and handed it to me.
And that's where it had been pretty much the whole day since I ran out the door with it?
I'm going to object to speculation and
Sustained.
testifying.
So the majority of the time we're turning evidence over to them at the station or their work area.
Okay, so just so I understand, it went from you to them.
Correct.
So you had it in your hands and delivered it to them at the station that day?
I believe so, yes.
And so you, according to the grand jury, it was at 3:11 p.m.
Your Honor.
Oh, sorry.
The objection sustained.
My understanding was that it was about
Hold
3.
on. Hold
Objection.
on. Let's break for the evening.
We're now at the end of day 5 of trial, and the judge is going to get into why, when Lori Vallow kept objecting to the clippets of her interview being played for the courtroom, he's going to explain to her why her objections didn't really apply to what she was trying to object for and the reason why he was overruling them. Oh, man.
to the grand jury and what was said in the grand jury proceedings. You can use that time and ask the witness, is 3:30 sound right, for example? But let's move on. The reason that I allowed in the various different clips of the defendant's statement over the defendant's, I should say, interview at the police station over the defendant's objection, Rule 106 isn't really applicable in that situation. Rule 106 is intended to complete a statement when only a portion of the statement is offered, and it distorts or changes the meaning of the actual statement. And it's really meant for very short statements, not entire interviews or versions of what happened. Additionally, the state has the discretion to only admit certain parts of your statement that are admissions. They're not going to admit statements, nor should they admit statements that are self-serving hearsay. So there's a reason why your interview has been cut up into different pieces. That's just for the record.
And then additionally, there's a little bit of snark between the state prosecutor's side and the defense's team. So I thought that was kind of interesting to watch.
Are you just trying to click on it and opening it, or are you opening it with a particular program?
I sat with him and we were going over things for about 4 hours this morning.
Okay. I guess, where's the extraction coming from? Who's handing that over to you?
That is the Chandler Police Department handed over the raw data from Gray Key. So it's just raw random data. So I don't know it.
So it's not, is it?
It's not parsed into any sort of way to read.
The reader. That's what I was working with
There
Lonnie.
is no reader with it. It would have to be then input into a Cellbrite to parse the data. It is the Gray Key raw data.
All right.
And was trying to do that this morning, and that's what I spent 4 hours doing this morning.
I think unless you have a Cellbrite account, you're not going to be able to open it.
I have two different kinds of, I have the old version and the new version of Cellbrite, and I couldn't get them to open.
You see the prosecutor's like head. Well, looks like you need to call Cellbrite tech support then.
The Cellbrite that they gave us is an old version, the 7.2, I think it is. And I think
They gave us? We didn't give you Cellbrite.
It's on the.
That's a UFED reader. That's not Cellbrite.
The Cellbrite is on the Discovery, was on
With
the.
that,
I'm sorry?
with the Discovery we just handed over?
With the Discovery that was handed over before, it's downloaded onto my computer.
No, I think that's right.
All right.
With the FDRs.
I'm not sure that
I got
that's
two
correct.
different ones.
I think that it would need to go to Mr. Dworkin to review.
Is there is there
State prosecutor's like, I'm not the fucking tech support. Y'all figured that shit out. Have you tried turning it on and off again?
someone at the police department that Mr. Dworkin can make?
Right? Per my last email energy. I can see her shaking her head too, like little micro head shakes over here.
Maybe get on a call with to try to figure out what the disconnect is here.
Now we're in day 6 of the trial, and before the jury even comes in, the judge basically lets Lori know that she is essentially incompetent. Well, okay, the judge has been nice and really patient with her so far, but come on, we are thinking the same thing. She's incompetent. She doesn't know what she's doing.
Apparently, Ms. Vallow also attempted service on another one of the next of kin in Louisiana, Larry Woodcock. Again, that information, including his address, which she should not have access to, and in violation of victims' rights and the Arizona Constitution, was filed with the clerk's office. So we have multiple people that she's subpoenaing that are not on her 15.2, that she's violating victims' rights for. So I'm going to ask, of course, the court seal that subpoena as well, since it includes his address.
The state prosecutor is so over her.
Your Honor, Robert Vallow and Larry Woodcock were not on my list and were not intended to be subpoenaed. So it was an oversight.
So I don't know how OPDS got that information to serve them subpoenas. So,
And Your Honor, they are signed by the defendant. So
all right.
she is the one who's signing those subpoenas. She is the one acting as counsel. So she is the one asking to send those out.
So how was it an oversight, Miss Lori Vallow?
So how was it an oversight?
I just signed them all and we got them prepared and I signed them all and I did not check them. It's my own fault. But I apologize to the families.
So do you know the names of all the people you subpoenaed, or you just signed a stack of subpoenas?
I did sign the SAC, but I thought I was aware of that they were the ones that I had asked to subpoena.
Lori Vallow is going to argue to have this video in. I actually don't know anything about this video. Is it out on the internet anywhere? Or do you guys know what video she's talking about? Let me know if you guys do. But there's a video that she wants to be let into evidence. And then she talks about potential witnesses that might be testifying for her.
Video. You've had a chance to review that?
I did.
What's your position on the state's motion?
Your Honor, I obviously think that it should not be precluded, that it is evidence in fact of why that happened on July 11th, that it happened. So if there had been no bat, there would have been no gun. It was a reason why self-defense was even an issue on that day on July 11th.
Let me make sure I understand the state's position correctly. The state hasn't seen the actual video that these two witnesses have watched?
Correct. It
All right.
apparently
So absent someone coming in and introducing the actual video into evidence, which could have its own evidentiary issues, but absent that, they can't testify in court about things they saw on a video because it's hearsay. They're testifying to things that they observed outside of court, and there's no verification, no way to cross-examine on that. So my ruling would be that unless some video comes in and someone lays foundation for that video, that no witness would be allowed to discuss what they what they saw, heard, or viewed in that video.
Now, it seems like maybe Lori Vallow won't have witnesses to testify. I don't know. She's having issue locating witnesses or serving them subpoenas, or there's a possibility that they might not even show up.
Looks like that Ashlyn Wren was not served or found, that Gabe Bonilla, OPDS, several times tried to serve that subpoena and it has not been served. And I'm not sure on the Barry Cox.
All right, well,
That's 3 witnesses. Oh, man. Maybe the trial's going to be a lot shorter than the, 5 to 6 weeks because Lori Vallow just might not have many people to testify. I don't know.
as was indicated by the state yesterday, they may be resting their case in chief sometime Thursday, at the latest Monday. So you're kind of out of time on producing these witnesses for interview. I shouldn't say you're kind of out of time. You are out of time.
Oof.
I don't know that I need to effectively preclude them because you haven't been able to serve them or get them to appear, in which case they wouldn't be called as witnesses. In the event that they are served or surfaced, we'd still need to have a discussion of whether they have any relevant information and whether they should still be precluded because of the late disclosure of what that testimony might be. So unless they're produced to the state for an interview here within the next day or two, they would be effectively precluded. Even if they are produced for an interview, they still could be precluded. Zachary Cox, let's talk about Zachary Cox. Has he been subpoenaed? The state has interviewed that witness apparently, but based on their motion, they don't believe he has any relevant information to offer for this trial.
He was with my brother, Adam Cox, that day on the 11th and was in communication with Adam and Charles during that day and prior to that day.
What testimony would he offer that would be admissible, that would be relevant to either self-defense or this did or didn't occur?
He would be able to testify. About what Adam already testified to, verify it or unverify it,
What specifically?
about what their itinerary was during that day and the day before and the following day.
When did this, well, the state interviewed this witness?
Obviously, I had no idea what he would be called about, so I talked to him for a few minutes.
Did he have any idea what he would be called about?
No.
All
I
right.
think unless the defendant says that he's relevant to impeach Adam in some way, then I don't really understand the relevant. I mean, she just said that he could be testified to verify what Adam said. So she's going to call him to confirm that what Adam said was correct.
Is that he would be confirming what Adam said, or would he be disputing what Adam said? What specifically? Can you give me some more specifics?
From his interview with my investigator, he would be disputing what Adam said.
Well, then I'm not aware of that interview. With my understanding in interviewing the defense expert, Jeff White, is that basically they spoke for a brief time, it got heated.
Who's
and
they?
Jeff White and Zachary Cox.
Mr. White, do you have any information on, you interviewed Zachary Cox?
Yes.
All right. And did Mr. Cox provide information that would be relevant to this trial to you?
When I spoke to Mr. Cox, he was, in short, he was very belligerent. When we had spoken, I was asking about information about his father and him, as well as with Charles.
I mean, he probably doesn't want to cooperate with Lori Vallow's investigator. Is her family also batshit? I think I heard that her parents might be. I'm not really quite sure about the rest of the family members. I know that there were family members that had spoken out against Lori Vallow, the sisters.
The information that I did obtain from him did not agree with what his father had told me in the interview through the state.
His father being?
Adam.
No. Do you know if Zachary Cox has been served a subpoena?
As far as I know, I think that went through OPDS.
All right. I guess we'll see if he actually gets served and shows up at court. He may not, in which case it's not an issue I need to deal with. But if he does show up, we will need to flesh out whether he has relevant information and whether he should be allowed to testify.
I feel like the judge is like, yeah, he's probably not going to show up. All right, so this is a family tree posted by Nate Eaton. Shout out to Nate. All right, can we see? Okay, so we have Lori's parents, Janice Cox, up here. There's Janice. There's Barry Cox. Their kids, Summer Shiflett, which we've heard from. Alex Cox, deceased. He's the accused murderer. Where are the rest of the siblings? Lori Vallow, Daybell. I guess the other siblings are not relevant, maybe? I don't see the other siblings. And then we have Melanie Boudreau, who was married to Brandon Boudreau. And again, Brandon's going to have, oops, you guys can't see it. Brandon's going to have his, what's it called? There's going to be an attempted murder trial for him in June. So Lori's going to have to stand trial for that as a defendant. I'm sure Brandon Boudreau is going to be testifying. And then here's Lori Vallow, was married to Charles Vallow, the fourth husband. Was married to Joseph Ryan Jr., the third husband. There's a second husband. There's a first husband. Here are the kids. We have Tylee. We have Colby. We have JJ. Lori's married to this thing here, Chad. Chad was married to Tammy. And remember, she died while they were still married. There are 5 kids. All right, Ann Cushing. Who is Ann Cushing? Ann Cushing. I haven't heard from Ann Cushing yet, but she is, I guess, Joseph Ryan's sister. And then we have Kay and Larry Woodcock here. Okay, so Barry, we have Janice. Who's Lynn? Is Lynn a sister? Sorry, I didn't mean to say the thing here. I meant Peter Griffin. I'll post this in the Discord. I'll post the image in the Discord. Let's see if I can do that. Lori Vallow is going to continue doing the cross-examination of the detective on the stand. And she's going to get into the threatening text message between her and Charles, which I'm wondering if she was going to show them to the jury, if she had witnesses to testify to it. I don't know. And then she's going to get into possibly her adrenaline being high. That's why she went to Burger King and her purchases at Walgreens. And again, she does a little schoolgirl laugh giggle thing when she's trying to, I think, appeal to the jury and maybe even to the witness on the stand. Although the witness she didn't have it.
And we discussed the threatening text messages. Is that correct?
Correct. You told me about them.
And you stated that I did not show them to you. Is that correct?
You did not show them to me, no.
And did you ask me to show them to you?
I did not.
I can't wait to see these threatening text messages that were sent by Charles.
Were you aware of the reason why I had 2 phones at the time?
I was not.
Did you ask me?
No, I wasn't aware you had 2 phones.
In the course of your investigation, did you ever learn that Charles had stolen my phone, so I had to replace it?
Object to testifying and move to strike.
Sustained.
Your Honor, it's all part of the investigation.
Sustained, it's testimony. The form of the question was testimony.
Judge is like, nope.
Were you aware that after he gave it back to me that I kept both phones?
I'm going to again object.
Sustained.
Detective, in the course of your investigation, did you learn that Charles had a $2 million life insurance policy on me?
I knew there was a life insurance policy.
I don't know where she was going with the $2 million life insurance policy thing. It's not like Charles had attempted to murder her for her life insurance policy, but anyways, we're going to get to police statements and let's see, more stuff. Oh yeah, more lines of questioning and Burger King.
Are you aware of the press release that was issued by Chandler Police Department later that day?
I am not.
You never read it?
No.
You never heard about it in the course of your investigation?
The press release?
Yeah.
No.
You never discussed it with any of the other detectives?
I'm going to object. She's asked and answered.
Sustained.
So do you know if Detective Moffat was the case agent at the time, is that correct?
He was.
And so do you know if he talked to the PIO and put that out or if he didn't know?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Detective England, yesterday the prosecutor asked you several times, why didn't Lori just give the phone back? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you learn in your investigation that the entire altercation only lasted a few minutes?
So why didn't you get the phone back? Takes a second to give a phone back to someone.
That'd be a fair assessment.
Because we discussed that in our interview, is that correct?
We did.
So from the time Tyler came out with the bat and I ran outside is maybe less than 2 minutes. We discussed that, is that correct?
We discussed that it probably happened in a short amount of time. I don't think we gave a specific time amount to what happened, but that it happened in a relatively short amount of time.
We didn't say that was like 1 to 2 minutes?
That was our discussion, yes.
Yeah, that was our discussion. Okay. So we would not have been arguing for a very long time. Is that correct?
I mean, she has nice curls, but they kind of remind me of like the top ramen noodles or like the lasagna layers, you know? I'm not saying the curls are ugly. They look nice, but you know, getting kind of hungry over here.
Did you learn in the course of your investigation that JJ had autism?
Yes, you told me about that.
Many times.
Did you verify that at his school?
I did speak with his school, yes.
During this investigation, did you verify that we did in fact go through Burger King?
I did not, but it was verified.
Were you aware of what we ordered at Burger King?
You told me it was chicken fries and Sprite.
Look at the witness's face. Zoom in her face, man. She's so funny.
Were you aware of what we ordered at Burger King?
You told me it was chicken fries and Sprite.
Had you seen, you hadn't seen that receipt?
I had not.
Okay. So were you aware that we also ordered 2 bottles of water?
I was not aware, no.
And in your experience with people in stressful situations, when adrenaline kicks in, does it make you incredibly thirsty?
I don't object to speculation or knowledge.
If she knows, she can answer.
It can.
And when you're in fight or flight mode, does your adrenaline kick in your experience?
I'm going to object here to knowledge and foundation as to her knowledge.
There could be a multitude of reasons why she wanted water. I mean, it's Arizona, it's hot, it's July, you're thirsty.
Knowledge of this.
Chicken fries are salty. I don't know, man.
I'll sustain the objection.
Did you offer Tylee and I apple juice at the Chandler police station?
I think I offered you something to drink and what we typically would have there.
Did you offer that for the purpose that adrenaline makes you thirsty?
No, I usually do it to people I interview if they'd like something to drink while they're there.
I guess she used a Burger King question as a foundation to segue into ordering water, to segue into people who have a lot of adrenaline in a stressful situation drink water.
Detective England, have you ever seen me not calm?
Oh, God.
I'm going to object to maybe foundation as to when.
All right, sustain, lay more foundation on when she has, at what occasions she has had to observe you.
Well, yesterday, you spoke often of my calm demeanor, my nonchalantness. Is that correct?
Correct.
So,
My nonchalant enchiladas.
has there ever been an occasion when you have seen often of my calm demeanor, my nonchalantness? Is that correct?
Correct.
So, has there ever been an occasion when you have seen me when I was not calm?
Again, foundation as to when she has seen her on July 11th.
Please clarify the time frame you're referring to where she had an opportunity to observe you.
Any other time, Your Honor.
For example.
He's like, tell me the timeline. I don't know, any other time. Lori, come on, you can do better than this. Come on, Lori.
Clarify the time frame you're referring to where she had an opportunity to observe you.
Any other time, Your Honor.
For example, how many hours on July?
Can we have a sidebar? Can I ask you a question?
Mr. Judge. Mr. Judge. I'm sorry, okay, last time, last zoom in.
Any other time, Your Honor.
For example, how many hours on July?
Can we have a sidebar? Can I ask you a question?
I think it's a sort of a mini long sidebar. She's like, oh God, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? It's a beautiful April. It's nice outside. Spring. It's not even hot yet. Actually, I don't know. Is it hot in Arizona already? Might be. The judge is going to again warn Lori about not possibly opening the doors to the Idaho stuff.
At that sidebar, the defendant indicated she wanted to question the witness further regarding how many times the witness had observed her and her demeanor, which would necessitate the witness talking about observing her here in this trial, observing her on July 11th of 2019, as well as the trial in Idaho and possible viewing of interviews or social media posts. I advised the defendant that this is probably not a door she wants to open because the setting of those interviews would be relevant. For example, someone...
So remember, Lori Vallow was asking the witness on the stand who was sitting there earlier about her demeanor. And she's like, well, give me timeline. The judge was like, give me timeline. She's like, well, you've seen me before. Aren't I usually calm? And the judge is like, okay, well, you have to establish a timeline because the detective on the stand, I mean, she's seen Lori for many other occasions, right? The Idaho trial, and then maybe like the federal grand jury stuff. She's probably seen Lori many times. So when the detective is going to answer that question, she has to make sure that she has to be careful. It's like, I want to answer your question, Lori, but I got to be careful because, you know, you might be fucking up here and opening up the doors to the Idaho shit. And we don't want that to happen.
Appearing in court intuitively might behave better than someone who's not appearing in court or in a trial. And the defendant said she would move on from that area. Is that an accurate recitation of the sidebar from the state's perspective?
Yes, Your Honor.
From the defendant's perspective?
Yes, Your Honor. That's fine.
That's a good handle. Nonchalant enchilada. Nonchalant green chili chicken enchiladas. That's her next handle at iCloud.com.
Did you learn in that investigation that we had stopped at Walgreens and I did purchase 2 pairs of flip-flops?
Yeah, you told me that.
I mean, and that was verified later?
It was by a different detective.
Okay.
Man, walking barefoot at a Walgreens, it's pretty daring. It's pretty daring.
And how hot was it that day on July 11th, 2019?
Warm.
Like in the hundreds?
July in Arizona, I'd say it was probably warm.
Would it have been difficult to walk JJ to his class on the cement with no shoes on, do you think?
Objection, relevance.
I can't tell if she's being a little bit combative, the witness, because I would assume July in Arizona would be like really fucking hot. Like we in the hundreds plus or something like that. I don't know. Exactly. What was the temperature? 100. I don't know. Maybe for Arizonans, maybe 100 is warm. For them, hot is like 125 or something.
Speculation. Objection, relevance. Speculation.
Sustained. I think the jury can draw their own conclusions about the temperature in Arizona in mid-July.
Yeah. They're all locals. They know.
As soon as we drove up, first contact was with?
Officer Krautheim.
Yes, Krautheim. Okay, thank you.
We're still trying to be likable. I mean, it's good. It's good for the jury. It's good for the jury. She wants to be likable, y'all.
Correct. You.
As soon as we drove up, first contact was with?
Officer Krautheim.
Yes, Krautheim. Okay, thank you.
The state is going to, again, do a really good job at reminding the jury what Lori's demeanor was like. And then additionally, the reason why there's a difference between Lori being calm and then law enforcement being calm on the scene.
You were asked a lot about her demeanor that day, both when you first interacted with her, taking her over to the van, correct?
Correct.
Did Lori Vallow's behavior stand out to you?
It did.
Why?
So based on what was going on, that we had a homicide, her husband had been shot and killed, her brother was the one who shot and killed her husband.
Yep.
It was inside her home. Her children were at least partially present to this event. Her demeanor seemed odd given what was going on at the house that day.
But see, Lori says, but y'all were calm. Y'all were calm, so I was calm. That's why I was calm. What do you mean?
Throughout this time, you're just noting her demeanor, right?
Correct.
You were asked about whether or not you were calm at the scene. Do you recall being asked that on cross?
I believe so.
Had you just seen your husband get shot?
No.
Inside your own home?
No.
By your brother?
No.
You were asked if the other officers at the scene were calm. You recall being asked that?
I do.
Were you aware of any of them having just seen their significant others being shot?
No.
By a family member?
No.
Inside their own home?
No.
With their
This line of questioning is so powerful, and the state prosecutor already did it with another witness. I don't know why Lori Vallow would go down that, oh, well, you guys were calm. I was calm. Would it be fair that I was calm because you guys were calm? It was a calm scene. Everyone was calm. Why would I be calm? You know, like she went down that line of questioning. She got schooled, and then she decides to do it again with this witness. So, of course, the state prosecutor is going to do the same thing. And I think she does a really good job. This resonates with the jury, in my opinion.
No.
by a family member?
No.
Inside their own home?
No.
With their children present?
No.
So would it be difficult to compare the demeanor of the officers and yourself with that of, say, Alex or Tylee or the defendant?
It would be difficult comparison.
Not the same situation?
No.
When you were driving Lori back to the police station, to FAC for interviews, you again told us about her demeanor. Did that, again, stick out to you as unusual?
It did.
Why was that?
Again, this incident has unfolded, and we're driving, and she's just kind of chattering in the car, and given what was going on in the situation and how she was acting, it was just odd to me.
All right, so we got some jury questions for this witness.
Was the rent-a-car vehicle ever searched?
I do not believe so, but I'm not certain.
All right.
That's Charles's rental car
Question
that she drove off with his cell phone and maybe even with his wallet. I don't know.
Right. Question form number 12. If the defendant and her daughter were interviewed as witnesses, why were they left with a victim advocate? In other words, were they considered victims or witnesses?
So our victim services section, I introduced Lori to them specifically because there are civilian employees that work within our police department that can help families with death investigations for the issues that come up afterwards and kind of navigating that process. So although they might not be classified under like state law as victims, our victim services section will often help our families with like specific crisis type events and navigating that process. So we use them quite a bit in our death investigations.
All right, on question form number 13, did Lori express concerns about police talking with Tylee at the time of the interview?
She did not.
Nope. She
Does
didn't care
law
about
enforcement
anything.
have to advise interviewees they are being audio and or video recorded?
They do not. There is no expectation of privacy within a police station.
Back in the courtroom, Detective Werther is on the stand, begins by talking about his experience mapping GPS cell phone data. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. He has taken classes over the years. Trina asked Werther about how he became involved with the investigation on July 11, 2019. He went out to the scene and was shadowing Detective Coons as an observer. And again, Detective Coons has already testified on the stand. He wasn't personally conducting the scene investigation. The next day, Werther became more involved with the investigation. He offered to reach out to get JJ Vallow's personal information, his date of birth, age, etc., as JJ was a son of the deceased victim. Werther made no contact with Lori on July 11. On July 12th, he called Lori. The call was recorded and he obtained the contact information for JJ. He learned where JJ attended school and confirmed that Lori had got a fucking Burger King before taking JJ to school. Werther also learned Charles had been staying at the True Hilton Hotel. Lori told Werther that she had Charles's hotel key that she had found in his wallet. Lori said that she had his wallet? Oh, that's how they know that she took the wallet to Burger King. Werther says a 911 call was placed at 8:36 a.m. The police arrived at the scene around 8:41 to 8:42 a.m. Lori was seen on body cam at the scene at 8:48 a.m. Werther knew all this before he went to Burger King to request the surveillance video. Werther says the timeline didn't make sense. The fact that Lori could leave the house, go to Burger King, drive 7 miles to JJ schools, then drive back in about 12 minutes given traffic? Correction, Werther is witness number 18, not number 17. The state plans to call 21 witnesses. Werther asked Burger King to see the live view of the surveillance cameras. He checked to make sure the date and timestamp was accurate. It was correct. Werther watched the video and saw Lori Vallow go through the drive-thru in the red rental car at 7:54 a.m. Werther was concerned because the 911 call was made at 8:37 a.m. Yet Lori was in the Burger King drive-thru at 7:54, just leaving tracks everywhere. Lori had told investigators she left the house right after Charles was shot. Werther asked Burger King for a receipt for Lori's purchase. Trina moves to admit evidence.
Showing in this area appeared to match the SUV as well as Ms. Vallow being there.
Yes, it appears to match this visit to the Burger King, which we are now seeing. This is the video that I recovered from the Burger King.
All right, so this was a video that, so you could identify.
Why would she continue to take Charles's phone? You think she just threw it in her purse and she wasn't thinking?
The vehicle and at least see the license plate on that.
Correct. So this is their drive-through window view.
Here comes Lori. Pulling up in a red hot car, ready to get her chicken fries.
So this is their drive-through window view. Again at 7:54.
Man, it's so crazy to see her with her kids. It's so fucking wild that she killed her kids 2 months after this. Bless you. She was so triggered by the
And so
word
did this
nonchalant.
appear to match the receipt that you had received?
This did appear to match the receipt, and this I was told as well, and that document was associated with this transaction.
So the time matched up as well as what they appear to be purchasing in
Correct.
the video?
Correct.
No,
Now in this,
Shanzo, Lori told the detectives that she was there during the shooting. She told them that.
now in this video, were you able to see if there was someone in the back seat?
I can't particularly tell if there's someone in the back seat.
So you could tell there was a passenger though?
Front seat passenger, yes.
Yeah, we don't see JJ.
All right, so we see the vehicle pulling away. It's almost 7:56 according to their timestamp. We can now advance. This is the video. You can see the timestamp at 8:16 as she walks in. And then I think we can advance to the next. So these are just multiple views that they had. The video at the door was motion activated, so I don't control when it starts or ends. Those are the clips that they had.
Can we see Charles's phone in her purse?
So she's buying 2 pairs of flip-flops.
As indicated in the receipt.
Oh man, I wonder if she was chattery with the... I see her chatting a little bit. Oh, it looks like she's chatting in it. A little chattery. Chipper Lori. Nonchalant enchilada at it again.
So you'll see on their timestamp, we're now up to 8:20, and the transaction is completed.
Sorry, it probably doesn't matter. I'm just hype. I don't know. I get really hyper fixated on shit like this. All right, y'all ready for the feet? I see like a strap. Oh, is it socks? Maybe they're like very super ankle socks. Ah, it kind of looks like she's got like some sort of like sandals or something on. Okay. I'm sure it's not a big deal. I'm sure it's not a big deal. I'm gonna let it go. Just wanted to point it out.
She's buying 2 pairs of...
They look like fancy sandals, like flats with a black strap that goes kind of over your feet, like fancy looking ones. Okay, so for some reason we've got zoom ins on, we got little circles on the foots, so that's them wearing the new flip flops, I guess. So what the hell was Lori Vallow wearing when she was walking into Walgreens?
Matches with the GPS data from Charles Vallow's phone showing that his phone was now back on scene.
Correct.
Charles, Alex, and Lori's phones are in the area of Alex's house between 1:42 and 2:07 p.m. Lori calls Detective Inklin's phone at 2:07 p.m. At 2:18, Lori called Valley of the Sun Mortuary. Charles's iPhone returns to the house between 2:43 and 3:11 p.m. to return the device to the detectives. Werther did not look at any other days. This is the only day he researched because there's concerns about the timeline on that day. A woman's phone just went off and was told phones need to stay off or people will be asked to leave the courtroom. Trina has no further questions and Lori will now cross-examine. Okay, I'm just going to forward to the part where the cross-examination happens. Oh boy, if you thought the cross-examination with Lori Vallow and Serena or Lori Vallow and Nancy Jo Hancock was awkward, this was pretty awkward too with this detective because Lori Vallow's going to get into what was on Charles's phone.
You made a note of his daily text message of love and devotion to me. Do you remember that?
I do not.
What? You made a note of his daily text message of love and devotion to me. Wait, what are we talking about here?
You made a note of his daily text message of love and devotion to me. Do you remember that?
I do not.
Okay. Then you also made a note of his interactions with women he was attempting to date. Is that correct?
I do remember that.
Okay. Detective Werther, in your report on page 103, you indicate that Charles went to the airport to meet Florence Hughes and found that she never boarded. Is that correct?
Check to relevance.
What's the relevance of that?
It's just in his report, Your Honor, and I was just going over it to see if...
Well, everything in a police report isn't necessary.
Yeah, it's not all relevant. Why is it relevant? She never answers the fucking question because she never knows the answer to them.
Necessarily relevant. How's it relevant to this case?
It's relevant to show what was going on in this right before this happened. These events happened within June and July.
All right, it's the objection sustained.
She didn't answer the question.
Did you learn who Florence Hughes was?
I'm going to object again to relevance.
Sustained.
In your report, Detective, you find evidence that
It sounds like she's saying Florence Pugh, but does anyone know who Florence is?
Charles did in fact send someone $1,000.
I would object to relevance again.
Sustained.
I would object to relevance to all of these types of questions.
So you mentioned in your report that on July 10th there was a scheduled phone date with Nancy Jo Hancock. Is that correct?
I think I did indicate that in my report, yes.
What are we trying to show the jury here? Charles was going on dates with women.
Okay. And then on the next day there was another date scheduled with a Jennifer Gilbert at 12 o'clock.
That sounds correct.
And then the next day there was another date scheduled with a Juliet at 10 a.m.
And obviously trying to smear the victim.
All right, the objection sustained.
You left him for 58 days. He didn't know where the fuck you were. You were cheating on him. Oh, God.
Detective, did you find searches for these dates for my husband back to...
If we can do a sidebar.
Sustained.
This is a different question,
No,
Your Honor.
whether
Look at the... Oh, my God. The judge is like so pissed at her. Ma'am, if it's sustained, you shut the fuck up. Move on. And you can't be asking the same question over and over again. Oh, gosh. Should we get a... Wait, did the judge move? Where did the judge go? That's the witness. Wait a second. Why is this different? Oh, F. Can we see the judge? No, I can't see the judge. Gotta see the judge. There's a judge. The judge's face.
Find searches for these dates for my husband back
Hold
to...
on.
If we can do a sidebar.
Sustained.
This is a different question,
No,
Your Honor.
whether he went on dates or had dates scheduled is not relevant to this case. Ask another question. You can ask about the date of the person that testified the night before because that person was in here and had some relevant information. But other than that, any of these other questions are not relevant.
So you were observing mostly?
Mostly.
And then did you take notes while you were observing or just
I did not.
physical with the eyes?
I was just there to observe, yeah.
Okay.
No one's laughing with her at all, and I fucking love it. I don't know if you guys caught that. She was like, I think she was like laughing.
I did not.
Physical with the eyes.
I was just there to observe, yeah.
Okay.
No one's laughing at you, bitch. Day 7. All right, everyone, gird your loins. We're going to get into some horrible text messages between Lori Vallow and her brother, Alex Cox, and then some, like, if you thought those text messages were cringy, it gets worse, okay? We're going to get text messages between Lori and Chad, and the romance stuff and the affair all comes out to the jury today, and oh boy. First, we're going to start off with the fact that the state is going to bring up how Lori Vallow had access to Charles Vallow's phone, and Lori Vallow was going through Charles's phone after he was murdered.
The last text message that Adam sent then at 7:49 and 34 seconds was, me and Zach are going to the Stake Center tonight at 8 to play basketball. Holmes is always there, either playing ball or interviewing people. I will try to catch him to have a conversation with my old friend, right?
Correct.
When was that read?
12:13 as well.
12:13. Charles would have been dead by 12:13. Who is reading these text messages? Lori Vallow. And then also Adam, when he's texting Charles, he mentions Zachary. So Zachary Cox is apparently on Lori Vallow's witness list. They tried to subpoena him, and the judge was like, well, if he shows up, we'll see what happens then. But maybe he won't. They extracted pictures from Alex Cox's phone, and in it, there were pictures that apparently Adam or Lori took of the conversation between Charles Vallow and Adam on Charles's phone. This is where they were trying to plan to basically do an intervention on Lori.
So in this image that Verizon sent, it's showing an actual phone. Have you seen Charles Vallow's phone?
Yes.
Going back to the Lolly Time iCloud account, Was that account created on July 1st of 2019?
It was.
Was that created after Charles Vallow contacted Lori and Chad Daybell and Tammy Daybell about the affair?
It was.
And in these text messages, as you looked at these two conversing, did you see text messages talking about other people being Z's, just the letter, because of their association with Charles?
Yes.
All right, so she's going to read through these text messages. She's just basically just giving us like a little preview.
A little bit later, we see that was at 4:57 p.m., correct?
Yes.
So at 9 o'clock on the 9th, do we see a message from Lori Vallow to Alex Cox? So the plot thickens, call me when you can.
Yes.
Now at that point, when you looked at phone records, did you see any call between Lori Vallow and Alex Cox initially after this first text message?
Not after that first one, no.
So about 47 minutes later, on July 9th, at 9:50 p.m., does Lori Vallow send her brother Alex Cox a message, getting sleepy, so I'm going to need you to stay close to me the next couple days. Mel too. She can't go to Utah. They are planking some kind of intervention, but want Mel out of the way, so I'm left alone. I need to come get the stuff at your house tomorrow and store it or secure it. Lots to do. Thank you for standing by me. It's all coming to a head this week. I will be like Nephi, I am told, and so will you. Now, in this message, when you were going through these records, did you recognize or learn who Nephi was?
So in going through this particular message, I knew that Nephi was a figure in the Book of Mormon related to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but I didn't understand the significance. So I then did some research to find out who Nephi was.
You were present in court when Adam testified, correct?
Yes.
And did his testimony about Nephi being told by the Holy Spirit to kill Laban and that this was a justified killing match with what you had learned when you researched it?
Yes, it did.
Were you aware from looking at Charles's phone and the messages between Charles and Adam that they were talking about an intervention?
Yes.
So on July 9th, Adam and Charles were discussing an intervention,
Correct.
possibly recording Lori.
Yes.
And then what we see then at 9:50 at night is Lori telling her brother that they're planning an intervention.
Yes.
So the same day that Adam and Charles were talking, Lori is already letting her brother know there's going to be an intervention.
Correct.
And they're trying to get her separate and alone for this.
Correct.
So the theory is that Lori knew about this intervention, and that is the reason why her and her other brother, Alex Cox, are plotting to have Charles killed. The jury is very focused on the prosecutor in the fake email testimony. Why? I don't understand. Why did she do that? It's so weird. And I think she was also talking to Chad, pretending to be a woman named Karen or something. I don't know if they were trying to disguise the identity so Tammy wouldn't know in case she found out, or if Lori was just semi-catfishing Chad, and then I don't know. Like, what was Lori doing? Now, Charles was not the only person that Lori and Alex were referring to people as Z's, aka zombies. They were also referring to Adam as a Z as well.
Starting on September 3rd, a message from Lori Vallow to her brother Alex Cox saying bad news on our brother.
Yes.
And Alex responds, what's that?
Correct.
And she says, Z.
Yes.
And does Alex then say, really, when was that?
Yes.
You're next, Adam. Oh my God, Ned recruited him shortly
after. As that conversation
after.
continued on that September 3rd, does Lori tell Alex as of early January?
Yes.
Now, is it your understanding, based upon both testimony from people like Kay Woodcock as well as your own investigation and testimony from Christina Atwood, that sort of in February and March is when Lori Vallow disappeared?
Yes.
So she's now saying her brother has been a Z as early as January. Does then Alex Cox respond back to her? That explains his interest in Charles.
You say her brother, I think, as far as Z or Zach? Zach is
Her brother
yes.
first.
Yeah.
So initially she's talking about her brother, right?
Correct, yes.
And so in this conversation, as we start through, Lori is telling Adam or Alex that their brother is a Z, correct?
Correct.
As early as January. And it's tied to Charles, right?
Correct.
And in fact, the next text from Lori Vallow to Adam says, Ned recruited him shortly after. This is why, right?
Yes.
She then goes on to say he's part of the 24, correct?
Yes.
What's the 24?
And Alex says, that makes sense. Wow.
Wow.
Correct.
Does Lori then go on to speak of more Z's?
She does.
Does she in fact say, again, still on this September 3rd conversation, more sad news. Guess who is the final Z of the 24?
Yes,
And Alex questions if it's Pops or Brandon.
correct.
And then Alex also says, Zach. Oops.
Oh no. So Brandon was also a Z. Is Pops their father? Zachary is Adam Cox's son.
May not be showing yet, sorry. So Lori tells, guess who the final Z of the 24 is, right?
Correct.
Then we see from Alex, he guesses Pops or Brandon with a question mark.
Yes,
And then Alex also responds, Zach.
correct.
And sort of the times here are close in time.
Correct.
We have 10:20:29 and 10:20:43. Lori responds, nope, think of Judas, who loved me completely, then turned against me.
Yes,
And then we see Alex saying, tell me.
correct.
And Lori Vallow says to Alex, yes, our sweet Zach, he is in paradise, the real Zach. It makes final sense.
Can you push that up a little further just to verify? That is correct.
And does Alex then ask Lori, his sister, when this happened?
Yes.
So we're still on the same date. And does Lori then tell Alex about the time he turned, makes sense, he being dedicated to Brandon and Ned?
Yes,
So again, we're still seeing this reference of Ned being Charles.
correct.
And so now they're tying Adam, Zach, and Brandon.
You know what? I wonder if Lori really didn't believe this whole zombie thing. So Chad would use it in order to get people to be scared and like use him as a leader to follow through whatever it is that they were preparing themselves for, like the doomsday shit, right? He was using it probably as like manipulation and control. Lori, in terms, I think Lori, I don't know if she actually believed this whole zombie thing. I wonder if she just used it to control her brother, because she's like, you know what? This is the only way I can get my brother to kill for me. Get him to believe that there are these people in my lives, that they're not really them anymore. They're just bodies being inhabited by evil spirits. Because, you know, at this point, it seems like Alex Cox, I don't know, they always talk about this car accident that he had where like his head was like kind of like fucked. Like he wasn't like super normal. It was kind of like, probably like not mentally right, maybe. I don't know. Even I'm not sure if that's true because he's married and everything. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder if this is just a way for Lori to just like manipulate and control her brother. Like, did she really believe in it? Was she really as crazy as we thought that she was? Huh.
Brandon with Charles.
Correct.
And so do we see again, so from Alex to Lori, so February.
Yes,
And again, is this around that time period where Lori Vallow disappeared,
correct.
left JJ with Charles?
Yes,
We do hear a little bit about Melanie Boudreau. That was her name at the time. Now, remember, Lori still has another trial. Same thing, conspiracy to commit murder, except this time, or this is attempted murder, of Brandon Boudreau. Melanie is Lori Vallow's niece, and she was married to Brandon at the time. At this point, before Charles Vallow was murdered, Melanie was also with the in-group of the crazies of Lori Vallow and Alex Cox and Chad Daybell, it seems.
This is from Melanie. So today doesn't really matter, but I'm here. I have the kids tomorrow, and that could make it easier for them. So I should probably be sick again tomorrow, question mark?
correct.
And again, does Lori say, I think so, but I think they're moving their plans to tomorrow since they will still try to get rid of you.
Yes,
Then there's a discussion from Melanie about wanting to go to this wedding.
correct.
And Lori saying, I know, baby, I'm so sorry. This is important to your mission, even though I know it's hard to just sit there.
Correct.
So she's given her a mission to pretend to be sick.
She has a mission, yes.
Oh man, and then they're gonna start to tell the jury about all the romance between Lori and Chad Daybell and really get into this affair. And it gets so cringy.
When you were looking at the text messages between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, or contact named Bubby, that you located in those Lollytime at iCloud account, did you notice a romantic relationship between them?
Yes, I did.
Prior to Charles being shot and killed on July 11th of 2019, did you see any open and obvious romantic messages from Chad under any of his contact names that you knew of to Lori Vallow?
I did not.
After Charles's death on July 11th of 2019, did you see any open and obvious romantic messages from Chad Daybell under any of his contact names to Lori Vallow?
I did.
Yep, they're waiting for him to die.
In these text messages, did Chad write I'll call it, romantic story about Lori and himself that he texted and emailed to her?
He did.
Did he have other names for them?
I believe the names were James and Elena.
Did that story?
Okay, we have to read it. It's just 4 pages long. We have to read it. It's 4 pages long. Okay, I've never read this yet. Okay, so this is something that Nate Eaton texted. Shout out to them. East Idaho News. All right. Friday morning, October 26th, driving south on the freeway. A voice said, "You will meet an extraordinary woman today who will change your life forever." This was shocking. Since such a thing seemed very unlikely at this conference, it is actually a very detailed story that began long ago on another world. And I will cover that part as I go along. And the character figures things the characters figure things out. But on the morning of October 26th, James arrived in St. George. Oh God, we're in St. George. Wait, St. George. St. George. Is this where fucking crazy batshit Jodie Hildebrand is, or where is this a different St. George? Still baffled by the message he had received, he unloaded his books, set up his table, then joined the organizers for dinner in the main room. He saw his friend MG, who had been so helpful to him when he spoke at Mesa in July. MG introduced James to her friend Elena. When their hands touched, he felt a shock pass through him and his heart started beating fast. Elena was gorgeous, vivacious, and James was a little intimidated, yet honored that she would talk to him. He was happily surprised when she mentioned a key part of his novel, The Renewed Earth. No one had ever recognized the significance of the scene before. He had heard that voice before and seen that smile before. He felt that they even had talked like this before. But who could be certain when? It was strange, but he could remember. The feelings were very strong, as if they had known each other for so long. They didn't give any chances to talk after that because he had to help a voice woman's blue Muppet. Huh? To what? Had to help voice a woman's blue Muppet? Oh, okay. Like the puppet thing? But he watched her every chance he could. He had to stay at a relative's house that night, and he hardly slept. He kept envisioning himself with Elena in a very wonderful situations that indicated they had become more than just friends. James was the first speaker on Saturday morning and knew exactly where Elena was sitting. He made sure to mention the scene from his book that they had discussed the previous evening. He was completely smitten by her and even nervous of what she would think of his talk as he spoke. But when he would glance at her, she was always attentive and watching him, unlike the rest of the crowd. Oh man, the rest of the crowd was bored. They were not into what he was saying. After his talk, he went to his book table. His talk had gone well, and there was a good group gathered around to buy books. His heart nearly leapt out of his chest when Elena joined him and helped sell the books. She was so beautiful that he could hardly concentrate on the customers. She straightened the books and gave the books great reviews, although she made him laugh a lot when she kept pushing the youth and 5th volumes of his 5th series. He could only giggle when people asked if she was with... Oh no! He could only giggle when people asked if she was his wife, because yes, in fact, she was. She just didn't know it yet. Ew! James was definitely having amorous feelings towards Elena as they sold books together. He had not felt this happy in his entire life. He was quite sure this was the woman the voice had told him about. James was ecstatic because he had already fallen deeply in love with her. What? What? How? Or better yet, he remembered how much he already loved her. Her eyes had mesmerized him from the moment they met, but once the book sale slowed down, she stood near him behind the table. They looked deeply into each other's eyes for the first time. Oh my God. And he knew he was in the presence of a goddess. He resisted an impulse to kiss her, but his entire body was on fire. He instinctively knew she was everything he had ever dreamed of. I must clarify that James is a very difficult person to get information from. He has been blessed with knowledge, but 99% of the people he knows do not realize that. He's very guarded. It is a great task to gain his trust. Oh my God, he thinks he's so special. But as Elena leaned forward him, and asked a couple of very insightful questions, his heart burst with joy. He knew she was the one of the very few people on earth he could trust. James' spirit was so excited at this revelation that he shattered a thick veil that had been placed between the two souls during their mortal lives. The thick veil had been placed because of the unique, unparalleled love James and Elena had shared in previous lifetimes. That veil had prevented them from finding each other until this appointed day that will be remembered throughout the heavens as a true beginning of a spectacular mission that would save millions of souls and defeat the forces of darkness. St. George is also a wonderful little island off the Pensacola coast in the Gulf. James' physical attraction to Elena was almost overwhelming, but he was equally drawn to the spiritual energy that was radiating from her. As they talked, it was confirmed to him that they had indeed been married before and were eternal companions. He had glimpses of them walking dusty paths together, and he realized they had been married during the life of Jesus Christ, and they had been very close to him. All right, last page. We can do this. Last page. At this time, their spirits could not be restrained any longer, and a long-awaited makeout session took place in the lobby? They connected that quickly? Ew. This was manifest in the mortal world to James and Elena throughout the scientific phenomenon as... I don't want to say it out loud. Ain't no way. This was manifest in the mortal world to James and Elena through the scientific phenomenon known as Loonfire. As they talked, James had a burning desire to make love to her, but he wasn't sure she felt the same way. They could not stay away from each other. One time, she was sitting on the couch near his table. He took a seat of the chair about 5 feet away from her. She began to squirm and cover her body with hands. She asked him, "What are you doing?" He wasn't aware of what she meant. All he knew was that if Bruce Porter hadn't been giving them an evil eye, a child would have conceived on that catalog. The erotic tension continued throughout the afternoon. James could only think of her. I hope Dennis is not here. He's probably wondering, like, what the fuck am I reading? Oh, God. Thankfully, she had worn 16 layers of clothing to survive the 80-degree weather, so he was not fully aware that she truly had the body of a goddess. Her dimensions were exactly what he had fantasized and found. That revelation would have to wait a month. As the night concluded, James needed to take his empty boxes to his car. Sure, they're empty. Yeah, right. You didn't sell all your books, you liar. With Elena's help, he had sold more books at a show than he had ever before. She had helped him carry the boxes to the car, and then he could not resist a desire to hug her. He made an awkward attempt that was way too brief because their friends were bringing more boxes. In that short embrace, though, he knew he had found the woman he had searched for his entire life. It was made crystal clear to him that they had been married before and would be again. He had once again had to fight off a powerful urge to kiss her and somehow disguise the massive erection he was experiencing. YouTube is going to come after me. They returned to the building and he helped carry tables to the second floor while he sat on the couch. He couldn't take his eyes off each other. They couldn't take their eyes off each other. He was already madly in love. Her group of friends finally had to leave. He was devastated, unused how he would ever contact her again. Then her spirit took over and asked him, "Can I get your cell number in case I have some questions?" They exchanged numbers. Then they gave each other a hug goodbye. It was the most wonderful, electric, delicious hug he had ever felt. And he watched her walk away, knowing she was surely going to change his life forever. End of chapter 1. Oh, hell no, there's more. Okay, we're not reading the rest. That was chapter 1. Oh my God, wait, how long is this? I thought this was only 4 pages. Chapter 2? There's more. I don't think I could read the rest of this. Okay, let's get back to this. So they don't read it in trial. Thank God. Save the jury.
Story seems to sort of at least match the timing of when they met.
They did.
Can we add that to the list of phrases for this trial? We got green chili chicken enchiladas. We got nonchalant. Now we got Loonfire. Is Loonfire like an LDS term or something? What the fuck is Loonfire? That's what I'm thinking. I mean, that sounds a little bit like STD territory, man. I don't know about that, Chad. You might want to get that checked out.
We had learned that Adam had been speaking with Charles and that he hadn't told his family about this intervention, right?
Correct.
And that after this, he said he lost basically all contact with his family.
Yes.
And this seems to sort of confer with that.
Correct.
Do we then see a switch over from talking about Lori's family to now Chad talking to Lori about being deeply, crazily, madly in love with Lily?
Yes.
Also, I learned that Raphael, aka Chad, is deeply, crazily, madly in love with Lily. He wants to vanish with her to another world.
And do we see, again, messages to and from Lori and Chad talking about sort of their love for each other?
Correct.
So prior to this, you really had not seen this open, obvious discussions about their relationship.
I had not.
As the time continued, did you continue to see, again, messages of love, as well as a lot of calls?
I did.
Although we won't read through everything here, is this sort of part of that story you're talking about of James and Elena starting in November?
Oh, I'm gonna read it all
Part of
right.
that-
I'm nosy. Let me see. Hi, sweetheart. Can I call you in 5 minutes? Yes. I love you so much. You're my greatest desire, my best friend. Now on with the story. As November began, James and Elena had talked on the phone every day since last seeing each other. He was extremely impressed with her intelligence, personality, and subtle humor that made him laugh more than he had in his lifetime. She was a complete delight to talk to, and the highlight of his day was when he could hear her magical voice. It was so familiar to him, and it actually healed and soothed his heart and soul. Lori just wanted someone to worship her, okay? And then Chad was just probably just dumbfounded that someone like Lori would be attracted to him, I guess.
Although we won't read through everything here, is this sort of part of that story you're talking about of James and Elena starting in November?
Correct.
And is November when the Preparing the People
Something about them attending the same event in November, something about Jerusalem.
conference was here in Arizona of 2018?
Correct.
And we've heard testimony from witnesses that Chad Daybell was there.
Yes.
And you found actually a recording on the Lori for Style of Chad Daybell at the Preparing the People conference in November of 2018.
I did.
I've been clearing the Houston house. I removed the darkness he caused, and I have the vibration up to 200 light. What? That's amazing. Just like you. Thinking of you always, my love. You are wonderful. How are you? Miss you.
14th.
We're going to skip through this because I'm already reading through them. Oh, boy. I need to see you cheek to cheek. What kind of cheeks are we talking about here?
The cheek to cheek and loin to loin.
Yes.
Cheek to cheek, loin to loin. Why? Why do they keep talking about loins? Why? It's such a funny word. You were the fruit of my loins.
Again, more conversations both of love in text messages as well as phone calls.
Correct.
As we continue on the 14th, did Chad, let me ask you this, where was Chad Daybell living in July of 20?
Is cheek to cheek, loin to loin, is that a like biblical reference or something? I've never heard anyone say those phrases before. Cheek to cheek, maybe, but like not cheek to cheek, loin to loin. He was hungry.
2019.
In Idaho.
I need so badly to just gently kiss you for hours. It would likely lead to other activities. Oh no, these are the ones that I read or that I read. Likely or luckily? It would luckily lead to nakedness. Awkward.
So Chad is living in.
Did everything go so smoothly in the end hotel stay and getting the car returned? Wow, this is just 3 days after Charles was killed. Just 3 days. I guess I turned in the car, but I don't know what the police did at the hotel. Probably just left it. Oh, gosh. Poor state prosecutor, man. Trina had to go through all these messages. By the time the conference arrived, oh, this is more of the James Elena shit. The hotel was a short distance away, gorgeous blue eyes. They hungered for each other. He leaned forward and fulfilled a promise he'd made to her a few days earlier. He gently kissed her tender lips, and the same heavenly electric filled his entire body. They pressed their loins against each other. The feeling was exquisite. Oh gosh. I wonder if the jury, when they deliberate, can they get these text messages and just like laugh at it together?
Do we see, again, a continuation of that story that Chad was writing to Lori Vallow?
You do.
Exquisite.
And that continues through most of this till apparently Chad needed a shower.
Correct.
Poor Charles. I know. Poor Charles.
Now, as we, again, continue through this,
Okay, she's just scrolling through. I love you, Elena. We have an amazing love story. Heading to bed and then heading to Lily. Can't wait to talk in the morning. You are fabulous. I don't know who's talking. Oh, this is from Bubby. Oh, this is from Charles. Not Charles. This is from Chad. Heading to bed, then heading to Lily. Can't wait to talk in the morning. You are fabulous. Definitely loving you throughout the night. Good morning, beautiful. Just finished talking to Mark. Getting ready now so I can talk and leave with you at 8:30 your time. I love you. Good morning. Can't wait. Can I call you in 5 minutes? Is she responding? Is this just him just like mass texting her? Oh gosh. Can I call you in 5 minutes? Sure. Oh, hold on a second. To, from. Oh, okay, no. The to's and froms are okay, I'm getting confused who's writing this. Anyway, it's all cringe.
Texts of love between these two.
I am, yes.
Here's a first donation towards the Lori Vallow got my video demonetized. Thank God it's almost over.
Again, more affirmations of love, correct?
Yes.
Now, we know on the 15th of July is when Lori Vallow had called Banner Life Insurance to indicate that she was the beneficiary, right?
Correct.
And on the 18th is when she learned that she was not.
Correct.
So in Exhibit 229, do we see on July 18th at 12:18 Arizona time? So I talked to the insurance company. He changed it in March. So it was probably Ned before we got rid of him. They can't tell me to whom, of course, but it's done. I'll still get the $4,000 a month from Social Security.
Yes.
So on July 18th, after she talks with Banner Life Insurance, Lori tells Chad she's not getting the life insurance.
Correct.
But she tells him she's getting $4,000 a month from Social Security.
Correct.
Now, we know from Lori Vallow's text to Alex that she went to Social Security on August 12th, correct?
Yes.
And we also had testimony from Social Security about that.
Correct.
But here it is on July 18th of 2018, and she already knows she's going to get money from Social Security.
Correct.
Again, do you see a lot of additional, continuing everyday, multiple affirmations of their relationship?
I do.
Can't stop thinking about how much I love you. Just wanted you to know, my adorable sweetheart. At the church for an hour or so, please let me know if you can talk. Getting dressed. We'll be in a car in 5, so call me then. Wonderful.
And this email, or this report, just went through the July 18th, where we have that message about the Social Security.
Man, Trina has a binder full of this. I wonder how thick this binder is. Do you think it's like a 4-inch binder?
Did those affirmations continue on after
Yes,
that?
they did.
So now that Charles is dead, there's a very open texting and calling relationship between Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell.
Yes.
Now, we had indicated that there were...
Now, I think this is going to be the first time the jury's going to see a picture of Chad Daybell. We haven't really been able to see what's on the screen, what's been shown to the jury, but I'm assuming this is probably the first time. I think we have the Peter Griffin outfit right now, too. So the jury, now they finally know what Chad looks like. Chad, the man that Lori did all this for. I mean, mostly for herself, I would say, but, for her and Chad. Now we got more text messages between Lori and Chad Daybell, and this is where Lori realizes that she's not the beneficiary of Charles Vallow's life insurance money. Good morning, beautiful. Just grabbed my phone. Morning. Need to have a blessing later today if possible. No rush. I just got a letter from the insurance company saying that I'm not the beneficiary. It's a spear through my heart. Who do you think he changed it to? Question mark, question mark. Brandon or probably Kay. He left nothing for JJ. Yeah, right. You care about JJ.
When we get to July 18th, this one, though, is an earlier for the Bubby one, we saw that it was a noon time message, right?
Right.
And so we learned that Lori received a email indicating she was not the beneficiary, and later she had a phone conversation.
Correct.
Does this one appear to be sort of the earlier one because it references, I just got the letter from the insurance company saying that I'm not the beneficiary. It's a spear through my heart. Who do you think he changed it to? Brandon or probably Kay? He left nothing for JJ.
Correct.
Did that conversation go on? Wow, that's terrible. There's no way to find out.
It did.
And did Lori then tell Chad, I might be able to see when I get his computer on Sunday, I could check the email sent to the insurance company. It will show change of beneficiary. He must have done it recently.
Correct.
So we had seen, in fact, photos what appeared to be from a computer that were sent to Chad Daybell, correct?
Correct.
Showing that beneficiary change.
Yes.
So does that seem to match with, again, what Lori is telling Chad here about finding out who got that money?
It does.
Does Chad then say, it seems you would have to agree to change, maybe the name was forged, you should have a good paper trail to prove it, right?
Correct.
So he's trying to help her figure out how to get that money. So you then go on to say, I love you, this is terrible. It's probably another step in bringing down, what is this?
Gaddy Anton?
Did you ever learn what that was?
I'm sure I researched it, but off the top of my head, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Look, it's like Gaddy Anton. Anyone in chat know Gaddy Anton? Is it another like LDS reference or something?
Did Lori then tell him, nope, he can change it anytime he wants. He's the agent and anyone can change the beneficiary anytime with their own signature. I'm thinking it must be Kay.
Correct.
So she understood, at least to Chad, that Charles had that right.
Chuck?
Yes.
Does Chad then say, it will be interesting if he if it got changed after he had 2 bullets in his chest.
Wow.
Correct.
And she goes on to respond, I don't think it could have. You can't change it after the death date. They would review that.
Correct.
And then she goes on to say again, I'm thinking Kay as well. Or he says, I'm thinking Kay as well. She's probably freaking out that you got those computers. I'm going to shower and give you a blessing. I'm eager to get home so we can talk. It will be okay, my love. You are wonderful.
Correct.
And then she says, miss you so much. And he responds, miss you the most.
And then the state prosecutor, they're going to end with Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's wedding in Hawaii, 4 months after Charles was murdered. Now, the jury doesn't know that this was also 2 months after the kids were murdered.
So we see Chad Daybell and Lori Ryan. Was Lori Ryan a prior name of Lori Vallow?
Yes.
That was Tyler.
Wow, she dropped the Lori Vallow last name and then chose the husband before Charles, which was Lori Ryan. Wow.
Ryan's dad?
Correct.
So she used the Lori Ryan name in this. They use a home address of Rexburg, Idaho at that point.
Correct.
And then the date of the actual wedding is that.
Oh, I thought it said street Hawaii wedding. November 5th, 2019. Disgusting. Number of guests, 0. Yeah, they're losers. All right, Lori Vallow cross-examination. She's going to get some objections, and it's just fun to see her getting objected to.
So is there anyone specific that kind of ran through what happened at the walkthrough?
Your Honor, I object to asked and answered and relevance.
Sustained as to asked and answered.
Did you write about it in your report?
I'm going to object again to relevance, hearsay, asked and answered.
Sustained as asked and answered. He already answered that.
You mentioned that it was Detective Werther who had the body cam, is that correct?
Again, asked and answered.
So
Sustained.
did you read his report?
I have read his report, yes.
Did he mention the walkthrough and what happened?
And I'm going to object again to relevance, hearsay, and asked and answered.
Break
To the
time?
extent that it would call for a hearsay answer, I'll sustain the objection.
Now, Lori Vallow is going to ask the detective, why did they not use luminol, or sorry, why did they do a DNA test on the baseball bat? The detective basically says, well, this baseball was in your household, so y'all could have gotten your DNA on it at any time. Finding DNA on it when you guys all had access to it doesn't really matter. But Lori's going to do something where I'm not really quite sure she was really helping her case when she starts bringing up Alex and whether or not Alex's blood was on the baseball bat.
It was in a household where you lived. It was in a household where Alex was. And at one point, based on the fact of when we understood the bat to have been purchased, Charles was living in the house as well. So that bat was accessible to all those people. So if at one point during that time that person touched that bat, all that it would be saying is that somebody touched that bat at some point, not during this incident.
Right, but would DNA tell if there was blood? Could they find out if there was blood on the bat from the DNA test?
Once again, blood is, you would see if it dries and crusts, then you would see that particular blood. DNA comes in many forms. It can come in touch, it can come in sweat, blood, but you would think that blood would be visible at that point to be able to test. And we did not see anything like that.
It looked red, brown.
Okay, so if there was none of Alex's DNA on the blood, wouldn't that tell us something? I mean, on the bat at all, then wouldn't that tell us something?
If there were none of Alex's, it would just mean that Alex never touched that bat at any time.
And wouldn't it tell us that Alex was never hit in the head with that bat?
Once again, it's not specific. I can't, if there was blood on the bat, then yes, we would test for that. But there's no visible blood on the bat.
Wait, did she just like disprove her case that Alex indeed was never hit with that bat in the head? Did she just fuck herself over?
I understand that, but when you're doing an investigation, are you not trying to figure out what happened?
Yes, and that's what
Don't you want all the information to do that?
Yes.
And so whose responsibility would it be to request the DNA testing from the swab that was taken?
Once again, that would just show, it's not showing that it's blood. There's no blood on the bat. It was just showing that a DNA swab was taken of that particular area.
Did we follow all directions given to us by law enforcement that day?
I'm going to object to speculation and foundation as to how this detective knows that. He's already said he wasn't at the station.
He's the case agent, Your Honor.
He can testify to what he observed for himself, so if you want to tailor your question, go ahead.
This judge is so over her.
Would you say that according to every report and every detective that you've talked to and anything else, that you would say that we fully complied with law enforcement that day on July 11th, 2019?
Object to hearsay.
I'm going to sustain the objection to the form that it was asked.
So according to all the reports that have been given by everyone who was there, and you're the case agent, so you're in charge of all of these people, is that correct?
Well, I'm not in charge of them, but I have read the reports.
So you have read the reports.
Yeah.
And as far as you know, to your knowledge, we fully cooperated with law enforcement that day on July 11th, 2019?
And again, object to hearsay. And lack of personal knowledge.
Sustained.
Has it come to your knowledge that we did not comply with everything?
And I would object to the exact same thing, lack of personal knowledge and hearsay.
He can answer that question.
Can you ask that again?
Have you come to the knowledge that we did not comply that day for any reason?
I have not.
Okay.
Oh, and here she goes again. She's going to do a little giggle at Detective Krotheim's name.
Do you know who drove him to the Chandler Police Department?
Well, through this hearing, Officer Krautheim.
Oh, that's right.
Ooh, no giggle.
The one I
Krotheim?
couldn't remember how to spell. I mean,
Again, Your Honor.
Sustained, please don't testify.
She couldn't resist. She couldn't resist.
was a copy of Alex's phone made by the Chandler Police Department?
I don't know.
You don't know?
There's so much information. I don't know whether we received his call detail records or an actual copy was made. I don't know.
So you're the case agent.
Yeah, I'd have to look and see if that was the case.
So you're the case agent, and you don't know if the person who shot my husband's phone was ever...
Yeah. At this moment, I don't recall.
Ooh, condescending.
Do you think that would be important to your investigation?
Absolutely. Knowing what we know now, yes.
Okay, you're a detective, right?
Correct.
You have to look at all the angles, right?
Correct.
You don't know what happened, right? You just stated that you weren't there, right?
Correct.
So wouldn't that be crucial information that the police department didn't bother to take?
Once again, I don't know what the conversation with Detective Moffat and Alex was and what his reasoning for not. Would I have taken it? Yes.
But that was not your call at the time.
Correct.
Now, Lori's going to start to get a little bit heated in terms of why this detective didn't review other family members' interviews, I guess, and why he only got information from Adam Cox.
So the only person in our family, in our whole family, that you got information from was the estranged brother from our family who didn't know what was going on with everybody else.
I object to the form of the question. Argumentative.
Well, it's also compound. I'll sustain the objection.
Okay, so Adam, our estranged brother, is the only one that you got information from. Is that correct?
And I object to the form of the question.
Sustained.
So is this your normal protocol to just talk to one witness and not all the others?
No.
Why didn't you speak to any other member of my family?
A lot of members of the family have been spoken to.
But you were not privy to any of that information as the case agent?
Well, I was privy to the interviews that were conducted by other detectives.
And you just testified to me that you didn't read or watch any of those interviews. Is that correct?
I have been present during an interview.
I mean, Lori can sound condescending and combative as much as she wants, but I don't know if this is really landing for the jury, because him not talking to other members of the family hasn't really been an issue that was brought up in a different testimony. So I don't know. I feel like the jury's just like, they're probably just like listening to this, like, okay, where are we going with this? I don't know. Maybe we'll segue to when she has her witnesses on the stand, if she even has any.
Phone call with Summer, and been present during a phone call in this process, but I have never interviewed them.
How many interviews has Summer had with the police departments?
Objection, speculation.
If you know.
He can answer if he knows.
I don't know.
More than one or two?
I don't know.
Okay, but you knew of at least one?
That Summer has had?
Correct.
Yes.
But you didn't ask her any of these questions or any of the questions about the text messages that you just talked about that were on the screen with Summer?
I said no.
Okay. Do you form a suspicion and then stick to it and only investigate the things that lead you to that same conclusion?
No.
Oh boy, we're going to get a mini Nephi lesson, I guess. Oh, thank God that we're going to have some objections here.
You had testified earlier about the story of Nephi, is that correct?
Yes.
And you said that you researched it, is that correct? What research did you do?
Well, the very basic research. I Googled who is Nephi, what does Nephi stand for. I've also, through this process over the last 4 or 5 years, have asked other members of the church just a simple question, tell me about Nephi. And every single person I talk to tells me that same story that was told by Adam.
So are you aware that there's 15 books in the Book of Mormon?
I am not.
Oh boy.
Are you aware that 4 of those books are books of Nephi?
I am not.
Oh boy.
That there's Nephi 1, 1st Nephi, 2nd Nephi, 3rd Nephi, 4th Nephi?
No, I'm not.
Oh boy.
Okay. That there's many stories of Nephi. Is that correct? Or do you don't know?
I don't know.
So the very first story is the story that...
I'm going to object to testifying.
It sounds like that's the way it was going. So please just ask questions.
So you did not read the Book of Mormon?
No.
You did not read 1st Nephi?
No.
You just asked people. That was your research?
I asked members of that particular church, and I also did an internet search, yes.
So you did an internet search, and it gave you all the stories of Nephi?
That's the story that came up.
So how long did you do that research for?
I couldn't tell you.
So in your research, did you discover that there's about 25 stories of Nephi in that Book of Mormon?
I didn't see that, no.
And that there's 4 different prophets that are called Nephi in the Book of Mormon?
I'm going to again object as
Here
to
we go.
testifying, and the detective has already indicated, so asked and answered.
I'll overrule the objection. He can ask if he knows that or not.
What was the question, sorry?
I'm sorry, I can't remember. Can the court reporter?
There's 4 different people referred to as Nephi.
Yeah, 4 different prophets in the Book of Mormon that are Nephi. Are you aware of that?
No.
Okay. So isn't it true that you really have no idea what I was referring to when I referenced Nephi in my text message?
I can only go off of what I see. I can't tell you what you're thinking or what you're trying to relay there, but based on my knowledge and based on talking to people about who is Nephi, that is a story that came up consistently.
You relayed to the jury that it was an order to kill. You relayed to the jury.
I said that the story was the same story and similar to Adam told.
Okay, and you said it earlier that that was an order to kill. That I referenced Nephi. I will be like Nephi and you will be like Nephi. To the jury here today.
Ask a question. That's a statement, not a question.
Do you have knowledge that my text message meant that at all?
No.
Are you aware through all of your investigation of this case that my brother was a stand-up comedian, Alex?
I had heard that, yes.
And that everything is a joke to Alex?
I can't speak for that.
So when you're interpreting all these text messages and making all these assumptions, half of them could be jokes and you would not know that?
What? Just because he's a stand-up comedian? Oh my goodness. If you see the screen randomly freeze for a second, I'm just taking screenshots because I'm processing my Amazon return while I'm listening to fucking Lori. Hello. Oh my gosh. Okay, Lori.
Text messages and making all these assumptions.
Speak for that.
So when you're interpreting all these text messages and making all these assumptions, half of them could be jokes and you would not know that?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Were you speculating when you read my text messages?
I think I'm just reading your text messages. I don't think I was drawing any inference from them. I was just simply reading them.
Well, today you were explaining them to the jury. Is that true?
Those were read. There was no explanation as to what it meant.
Yeah, weren't you paying attention? This man over here trying to hold it together because he's feeling sick on the stand. The stand prosecutor was just reading them. Oh gosh. Just testify, Lori. Just fucking testify. You know you want to. Do it.
Being a detective, is your job basically to be an investigator and search out facts concerning what happened?
Yes,
Do you feel like you've done that in this case?
I do.
So by not testing any of those things, you feel like you've done everything you could possibly do to tell the jury and to tell us what happened that day on July 11th, even though you weren't present?
Correct.
You're confident in that?
I'm confident.
Yeah, you don't need to be there. We've got evidence. He doesn't need to be there.
Wouldn't luminoling the bat be important to this investigation, this particular investigation?
I don't believe it would.
What about luminoling the gun? Was that done?
The what?
Once again, there's no visible, and we were under the impression that it happened 5 minutes before we got there, and there's no visible presence of blood on the bat.
Well, you went around the whole entire house looking for blood, is that correct?
Yes.
And you had the gun in your possession?
Yes.
And you're in a police station?
I was at your house.
I'm saying you have access as the case agent to have any of these things tested, is that not right?
Yes.
So why didn't you test them?
Because I did not think that luminol was needed to be tested because there was no visual blood.
So wouldn't you like to know that for sure?
They're not going to waste money and start testing everything in their possession just to test it just for the sake of testing it, you know?
I guess we make choices and we make decisions through this process based on the facts that we have and the facts that are presented to us. And based on the facts presented to us and what we saw and what we had, I did not feel that was necessary.
You have charged me with a crime, is that correct?
I have not, no.
You have helped them charge me with a crime, is that correct? The state of Arizona?
I conducted an investigation and I sent it forward, yes.
And you did not feel it was necessary to test any of these things?
Objection, your
as the case
question
agent?
answered like 4 times.
Sustained.
Go Trina. Go Trina.
What logical reason do you have as an investigator to not investigate all of these things that were available to you for the past 5 years?
Your Honor, I'm again going to object to asked and answered. If there's a specific thing that hasn't been asked.
That's a really very broad question. I'll sustain the objection. Yeah.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Ineffective counsel.
Is luminol a process used where you believe a scene has been cleaned up, like somebody actually attempted to remove blood from the scene, and so it's been diluted?
Correct, and it would show the remaining proteins left, yes.
And so luminol is used when there is no visible blood because the scene's cleaned.
Correct.
And so in this case, you were under the impression that this homicide had occurred 5 minutes before police arrived?
Yes.
So you would not be expecting a cleaned up scene?
Correct.
But you did look to see if you...
Do they have a picture of Alex's wound? We saw a little bit of it on the body cam. I don't know if they showed it to... They probably took pictures of the station and showed it to the jury, but we didn't get to see them.
Saw visible blood.
We did, yes.
And by visible blood, you're talking about drops of blood that might be there?
Correct.
Swipes of blood that might be there?
Correct.
Hairs from someone's head that might be stuck in the bat?
Yes.
And did you see any of that?
No, we did not.
All right, we got jury question. Let's see what they asked.
What was the time on the top left corner of the pictures? Do you recall?
The time is 2:13.
Do you recognize that as whether or not that's the same countertop at the the Four Peaks address?
That is not the same as the Four Peaks address, no.
Okay. Follow up from the defense based on that juror question?
No more questions, Your Honor.
All right, from the state?
Your Honor, at this time, the state has no further witnesses. The state will rest.
So we've seen this time and time again. After the state rests, the defense is going to say that, oh, the state, they haven't showed enough evidence and it should be dismissed right now.
The state has failed to show substantial evidence for count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree premeditated murder. The state has provided no evidence that I agreed with another person that any one of us would engage in certain conduct that I intended to promote or assist in this premeditated murder. Crime premeditated murder requires the state to establish a person caused the death of another with premeditation. The lack of evidence to show any evidence of a conspiracy to commit murder. There was no plan to murder Charles. No evidence has showed that, in fact, evidence suggested self-defense on the part of Alex. So I would like to put that on the record.
Oh, it's Italian?
State want to put a response on the record?
Yes, Your Honor. Looking at the evidence in the light most favorable to the state, there's sufficient evidence based upon everything from the iCloud messages from between Alex, the defendant, and others leading up to July 11th of 2019, that Alex Cox was invited over by this defendant, knowing that they were going to be having an intervention and knowing when Charles would be there and bringing a handgun over with him. The timelines on July 11th of the killing of Charles Vallow and the fact that the number of shots and the physical evidence at the scene, the statements by the defendant to Detective N-Clan that she took Charles Vallow's phone and would not give it back to him, the motive for money, and especially the defendant's motive for having an affair with Chad Daybell, all of those looking at together in the light most favorable to the state. The defendant, or the jury, could find the defendant guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder.
Last word. Do you want to add anything?
No, Your Honor.
All right. The standard is
She already read her script. She doesn't know what else to add.
whether or not a reasonable juror could, whether or not there's substantial evidence for a reasonable juror to find the defendant guilty. The court does find that there is substantial evidence that a reasonable juror could find the defendant guilty. The court will further add that the jurors are the ones who judge the credibility of the witnesses, and it's ordered denying the Rule 20 motion. Are you going to present evidence tomorrow, either through witnesses or through your own testimony?
No, Your Honor, the defense will rest.
All right. If that's the case, I'm going to...
She has no witnesses. She has no witnesses. And Lori, you can be your own witness. You didn't know that? Witness, Lori, go up there. Go testify. All right, so state rests their case. Lori Vallow also says the defense rests. However, she did ask the judge if she can change her mind and possibly, if she wants to, maybe she can testify on Monday. Now, do I think she's really going to testify on Monday? No, I don't think so. So tomorrow, Friday, or no, tomorrow's Thursday. No, tomorrow, Thursday, they are going to come in and discuss the jury instructions. And then Monday, they're going to be doing their closing arguments. The state says a closing argument should take about an hour for them. And then Lori Vallow said hers would take less than an hour. But, you know, she maybe will decide to testify. We'll see. That's it for the recap for today. I was hoping to make this video shorter. However, I wanted to include a lot of the interviews and the text message, the cringy text message for you guys. So enjoy, have fun. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your weekend. And I will see you guys next Monday for closing arguments. Whew. Quick trial. Thank goodness.